the ticket for excitement. Husker faithful as far as the eye can see. With the hopes this season for their defense to be in a very black mood all year long, where they've been sold out here since 1962. This is BTN football presented by Taco Bell. This evening, the Red Wolves of Arkansas State come howling into Lincoln to face the Cornhuskers and all the big red pride of Nebraska. Here in prime time, we go back to school into the gridiron where the Huskers and their legion of fans. So much pageantry and rich tradition. Inside the Nebraska locker room, this group more than ready to begin a new season with a familiar tunnel walk. Their first steps into this electric atmosphere. Along with Glenn Mason, I'm Joe Beninati. We'll introduce Elise Menaker in just a moment. We are here in the home of the Huskers, where the hype machine has been humming for months. Glenn, why are Nebraska fans so excited for tonight?
Wow, all the hype. I've not seen anything like it, and I really think their fans are saying, is it hype or is it for real? Plus, they really anticipate a lot of changes offensively and defensively in this program.
This fall, it is our pleasure to welcome Elise Menaker to the BTN College Football Announce team as she visits now with Nebraska head coach Mike Riley.
Thanks, Joe. Right now, we're actually looking for head coach Mike Riley on the sideline. So we have to just give me 1 second while we find him.
Let me tell you, that tunnel walk is one of the greatest traditions in college football. I see it many times, but I tell you, the hair stands up on the back of my neck every time I see it.
Coach Riley, who we will be speaking to in just a few moments, very kind to give us a lot of his time yesterday, and his team going through its longest training camp of all. Remember, they reported on July 29th, Tanner Lee. There is so much excitement about him, but the coach says this young man has become just one of the guys right away.
Well, there he comes. I tell you one thing, you know what? You'll not see a nicer or meet a nicer coach in college football than Mike Riley. He has respect of everybody as a man.
The coach entering his third season. Tanner Lee with Caleb Lightbourne there. Young man set to take the helm as we transition down to the field level. A little bit later than we might have expected. Elise Menaker with Mike Riley.
Thanks so much, Joe. Coach, you're here. You know I have to ask you about Tanner Lee making his debut in Memorial Stadium. What are your expectations for the quarterback?
Well, we have great expectations for him, but he's got to be helped by the rest of our team, too. This is always a team game. We've been real excited on the work that Tanner's done. I'm excited for him to play tonight. Everybody's got to do their part.
On the flip side of that, your defense, it can be tough for them to prepare for Arkansas State's up-tempo offense.
Yeah.
So how is that going to impact them?
Well, I think that we got a big challenge ahead of us. They do a very nice job offensively. Their quarterback has won a lot of games. We're going to have to be very sound, limit the big plays, tackle well.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
Joe, back up to you.
Elise and Glenn, we do know that Tanner Lee, he's waited a long time to take the reins here in Lincoln.
Hey, you talk about Tanner Lee and hype. I got up this morning and looked at the newspaper front page. There's a fishbowl, and who's in it? Tanner Lee. Well, he hasn't played football in a while. He's a transfer from Tulane. Spent time on the scout team. He's getting his chance tonight.
Nebraska's defense has a new coordinator and a new look.
Yeah, here comes Bobby Diaco. You know, when Mike Riley decided to change coordinators, he wanted to change defenses, go from 4-3 to 3-4. He looked around, he found Bobby Diaco. He liked what he did at Cincinnati and Notre Dame. He interviewed him, and now here's Bobby Diaco.
And on defense, the Red Wolves get out to the quarterback with plenty of gusto. They send Javon Roland-Jones into the act.
Oh, man, this guy is something. You talk about a sack machine, 30.5 sacks on his career. Watch this matchup. Cornhuskers has a great left tackle in Nick Gates. He struggles with the speed rush.
Underway. Arkansas State coming in from Jonesboro, Arkansas. They get the first touch on offense. Nebraska's defense trots out onto the field. Chris Webber's a 22-year-old redshirt senior. You see Luke Gifford there. He and Marcus Newby both expected to get to plenty of rotation through this new 3-4 defensive set. Justin Hansen is in the gun for the Red Wolves. Warren Wand in the backfield. Swing it out to Chris Murray. They like to get him open in space. He's hogtied by Marcus Newby. Justice Hansen, the redshirt junior from Edmond, Oklahoma.
So much of what they do, you saw right there. Everything starts with a run fake. Maybe he has the ball, maybe he doesn't, and then on the perimeter.
On 2nd and 8, there's a flag before the start of the play. MAC officiating crew led by Kurt Johnson, our referee tonight.
Ball start. Offense. Number 67. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
You know, Joe, when we were talking to Buster Faulkner the other day on the telephone, we asked him, what's your number one concern this first game? He said, communication, getting everybody on the same page, getting the ball snapped right without penalties.
Playing in front of 90,000 or so here at Memorial Stadium. The snap is high off the hands of Hansen, and he dives down to cover it at the Arkansas State 10. It'll bring up 3rd down and very long.
You're going to see this Cornhusker defense make a lot of substitutions, not only by situation, but Bob Diaco has a plan where they rotate guys in. They know what it's about, so guys are running in and out the whole game.
3rd and a whole bunch. 3rd and 24 out of the gun. Another flag down on the near sideline. The pass complete. Antonio Reed made the tackle.
Yeah, critical mistake. The defensive end jumped off sides on a 3rd and long. Gives him a free down.
Free to Makin-Moladu.
Offside. Defense. Number 91. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
You'll see it right here. A little different in this situation. They don't put any of the defensive linemen down, but he jumped. You always tell those defensive linemen, Joe, you don't listen to the quarterback. You look at the ball.
Initial offensive set of the season for the Arkansas State Red Wolves here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Cornhuskers opening up their 2017 campaign. 3 down linemen, 3rd and 19. As Hansen gets things coordinated with his center Jacob Still and his left guard Dalton Ford.
Russian 3, dropping 8.
Play clock at 6. Hansen snaps this one quickly in and out of the hands of Dijon Pascal. It'll bring up punting chores for the Red Wolves.
Well, Joe, it's safe to say that so far the Cornhuskers like Bobby Diaco's 3-4 defense.
DeMornay Pearsonell back deep for Nebraska, feeling healthier than he has been in any of the last couple seasons. He is an electrifying return man.
When he's back there, you better hold your breath.
Cody Grace will punt it for Arkansas State on 4th and 19. This one off the side of the foot, wobbles, has backspin on it, and it's going to be Nebraska with a very short field on its first offensive set of the season.
And here comes Tanner Lee.
Danny Langsdorf, the offensive coordinator for Nebraska, says of Tanner Lee, there's been a lot of hype around this young man, but it's deserved. We see his numbers through 2 seasons cumulatively with the Green Wave in Tulane. Trey Bryant starts at I-back for Nebraska. Play action. Lee wants the deep ball, doesn't have a receiver. He's flushed out now, crossing one underneath, and it bounces in and out of the hands of his intended target.
Yeah, I tell you, that's awful dangerous right there. You know, I guarantee you, Mike Riley's going to say, you know, Tanner, you know, you can't force things. You're good protection, no time, good coverage. Throw that ball out of bounds or run with it. You throw late back across the middle, more often than not, it's picked off.
Second and 10. Hoppus flexing in motion, the tight end. Zipped out into the flat. There's Tyjon Lindsey. Wrapped up quickly. Nice tackle made by B.J. Edmonds. As we have the Auto Owners Insurance impact players offensively for the Huskers.
Let's start with the I-back. Trey Bryant, they got to bunch him, but he's going to get most of the work. Stanley Morgan, the wide receiver, he's the most consistent guy. And for Arkansas State defense, Blaze Taylor, not only is he good, he really smart. He's already got 3 degrees.
Lindsey gets 3rd and 2nd off the 8-yard completion. 3rd and 2 now for the Huskers, deep in Red Wolf territory. Bryant undercut there, chopped down by Nehemiah Wagner. Moving the chains for the Huskers, a first down pickup.
4-yard gain on the play.
The 19-year-old sophomore Edmonds stopping Bryant after the pickup of 4, gets the first down. 3 minutes into the opening quarter. And the Huskers go 2 tight ends. Bryant making people miss. Brought down at the Red Wolf 11-yard line. Trey Bryant, the best all-around back for the Huskers.
You look at right here, awful good block. And look at those big linemen pull out there. They know what they're doing. Arkansas State overflows. They got kicked out. Seam goes back inside. Well-executed play.
The center, 62, Cole Conrad, who started 5 times at right tackle last year. Adjusting nicely to the center position, handles all those traffic plans.
You know, when you watch linemen pull, as you mentioned, Cole Conrad, a former walk-on, you see him pulling out there in space and making a block. Let's not forget that that young guy is 6'5", 300 pounds.
Steady diet of Trey Bryant working against Javon Roland Jones there, the 22-year-old redshirt senior from Mesquite, Texas, who's closing in on an NCAA sack record. Currently held by Terrell Suggs during his Arizona State days. This A-State defensive end is quite good. 2nd and 7 for Lee. Fires to the corner, juggled in and out of the hands, incomplete for Tyler Hoppus.
Well, that was incomplete, but Tanner Lee, he can throw a bullet. There's a blur going in there.
Great low-angle look at that perfect spiral. Hoppus will be scolding himself for not bringing that one down. The Huskers, who lost 3 different 4-year experienced tight ends in the offseason, breaking in a whole new group at that position. 3rd and 7 from the Arkansas State 9. Lee Morgan Jr. matched up with Justin Clifton.
The crowd wanted him to go for it, like they always do.
4th and 2 from the 4. Stanley Morgan Jr., the best player for the offense under Mike Riley's direction during camp. Stanley Morgan has been outstanding. Field goal time for the Huskers. Very reliable. Drew Brown, honorable mention, all Big Ten last year. Hammers this one on the way and drills it through. Nebraska with a short field, converting it into 3 points. We'll get you back for more from Lincoln in just a few moments on BTN. Football on BTN is presented to you by Taco Bell's new $1 beefy potato Rito. And brought to you by Discover Card. We treat you like you treat you. In Lincoln, Nebraska, capital city of this great state. 15 floors worth, a tower on the plains there. The state capitol building's about a mile away from where we are here at Memorial Stadium. Huskers proud to be back in their red here on home turf. Mike Riley's team gets the early field goal and a 3-0 advantage.
You know, Joe, you heard the crowd. They wanted to go for a 4th down. First series, you take the field goal.
The kickoff floats over the head of the kick returner there, Chauncey Mason. We have time for our Auto Owners Insurance Impact players on this side of the ball for Arkansas State.
Let's start with Justice Hansen, the quarterback. He turned him around last year, led him to 8-2 record as a starter. Blake Mack, the tight end, a converted wide receiver 2 years ago, 4.5 speed. And on defense, Carlos Davis expected to lead that 3-man defensive line for the Cornhuskers.
Carlos Davis, twin brother Khalil. The twins turned 21 a couple weeks ago. 1st and 10 for Hansen. This is Warren Wand. All 5'5" of him, listed at 180 pounds. Mick Stoltenberg in the middle of that Nebraska 3-4 up front.
You know, the number one thing you got to worry about when you go from a 4-3 defense to a 3-4 defense, only 3 down linemen, can you be stout versus the run?
Hansen fires quickly, connects with Omar Bayless. There's a late flag thrown in. Dedrick Young gets credit for the tackle for the Huskers. Flag down means we'll hear again from referee Kurt Johnson.
Personal foul. Flipping. Offense. Number 70. 15-yard penalty. The spot of the foul. 2nd down.
Glenn, they get Leonard Bonner. Head coach Blake Anderson tells us he's the most athletic of the offensive linemen. Anderson now in his 4th year pushing the buttons in Jonesboro. Bonner catching Dedrick Young in the back. Didn't prevent Young from making the stop. 2nd and 20. And the noise level rises. Quick pass and catch. Once more for Omar Bayless, a 20-year-old redshirt sophomore.
What makes offenses so hard to defend like this, so many of their passes start off their base run look, then the ball goes to the perimeter.
Justice Hansen looking to the sideline. Warren Wand and Chris Murray. Murray, an A-back, a slot receiver for these Red Wolves. Huskers rush 3. Hansen connects with Chris Murray. Guided out of bounds there by Antonio Reed.
You know, Joe, you said they rushed 3, but they gave the initial look that they were going to rush 5. And then at the snap of the ball, they dropped out. And that's the problem that quarterbacks have that Bobby Diaco talked about against his system. They do not get an accurate pre-snap read. It's a guessing game for them.
Seth Cottengim will snap it, Glenn. Cody Grace to punt. DeMornay Pearsonell back deep for the Huskers. Nearing the midway mark of this opening quarter. Grace's second boot is a beauty. Driving DeMornay Pearsonell to make the fair catch at the Nebraska 22. Huskers with a football when you return with us in Lincoln. Sold out again. Our SoFi in the Huddle, brought to you by SoFi, the preferred financial partner of the Big Ten Conference. The defense in the classroom.
Well, I tell you what, that defensive coach over there, they're saying, here's what they're doing, fellas. They're starting with a run fake, throwing the ball in the perimeter. So you guys on the perimeter, you keep your eyes where they're supposed to be outside. Those other guys inside will stop the run.
The Huskers were the only team in the Big Ten West last year to be perfect at home. They were 7-0. Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan all were unblemished at home in the East. Bryant wrapped up and taken down by Justin Clifton, a second-team All-Sun Belt Conference defender, nickelback for the Red Wolves. And Trey Bryant's been getting the steady diet of carries. This I-back stable for Nebraska, Glenn, is very deep. They weren't committal to one as a starter prior to tonight.
Well, they want to go with one guy if he's got a hot hand, and they said he's the best all-around back, so that's why he got the nod tonight.
2 tight end set. It's Bryant again. Knocked down, bumped to the turf by Kyle Wilson, the 21-year-old senior linebacker. We expect to see Trey Bryant, obviously Mikhail Wilbon, Divino Zigbo, and maybe even Jalen Bradley, an impressive freshman for the Huskers.
Holding. Offense. Number 68. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
Ask anyone in these parts, and that man, Nick Gates, is the anchor of the offensive line.
Well, I mentioned before, you know, he came on the scene as a young guy, and everybody thought he'd be the next great one. But he's got a big handful. He got big hands, and he got a lot of D-liner right there. Now, D-liner's a handful, I want to tell you. But he got caught.
A 325-pound handful. 2nd and 21 for Tanner Lee. Drilled. Tanner Lee rattled by Caleb Caston. The Red Wolves say they want to make sure they have balance. Someone to take the attention away from Roland Jones. Well, this man can rush the quarterback too.
That's what you used to call a lookout block. You know, as he went by you, the lineman would yell, "Look out!" because here he comes. Wow. He got some talent at that defensive end position.
Loss of 8 brings up 3rd and 29. Past the midway mark of the opening quarter. Lee from the gun. Handed off inside. And Wilson lowers the shoulder immediately on Trey Bryant. The Huskers will punt the ball away now on 4th down and 25.
Well, penalties just kill you on offense. You know, it's hard enough to keep moving the ball, have consistency, picking up 10 yards, moving those chains without a big play. And you let the defense penalty and then a sack. Luckily, you still have the ball.
Caleb Lightbourne, sophomore from the great state of Washington, averaged just below 40 yards per boot last year. A soaring drive that will be juggled and dropped by Blaze Taylor. Taylor recovers and now tries to make something out of nothing. Here he goes. Blaze Taylor sneaks his way into Husker territory. Taylor, touchdown. Blaze Taylor goes the distance. 63 yards on the punt return touchdown. His 4th of his career.
Did we say this guy was being an impact player? Watch this. Man, he drops it. He doesn't panic. He picks the ball up. Now all of a sudden the cover team for Nebraska is overcommitted. Couple missed tackles. Arkansas State is smart. They don't block behind him. They're not going to catch him. Touchdown.
Already holds the school record for punt return yardage. He tacks on some more as he receives the congratulations of the Red Wolves. Sawyer Williams, a redshirt sophomore, is on for the extra point. The end of a busy day of Big Ten football. We've got you covered with BTN football presented by Taco Bell. As advertised, Blaze Taylor, something to behold for Arkansas State. Here's the United States Marine Corps leader of the game, Arkansas State senior defensive back Blaze Taylor. Hails from Waco, Texas, just returned to punt, 63 yards for a TD. You're not seeing things at the bottom of the screen. He has 2 degrees completed, his bachelor's and his master's, prior to his final season. As an undergrad, Glenn, he took 6 courses per semester. Busy, busy young man and an outstanding talent on the football field. He's already petitioned the NFLPA. He'd like to be a sports agent, represent athletes in the future. 7-3 for Arkansas State. Sawyer Williams hits this one. Spielman from the 1. Spielman hits the seam and the gas. J.D. Spielman salutes. Coast to coast. I see your punt return touchdown with a kickoff return of my own. 99 yards.
Talk about good execution by the return team. I mean, hey, J.D., man, you weren't even touched. We know you can run, comes from good stock. His dad, Rick's the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, and Uncle Chris was an All-American at Ohio State. Man, they got them excited.
Uncle Chris, football analyst on Fox. J.D. Spielman. And it has been a showcase of special teams in Lincoln. Folks, it's time for our Dr. Pepper craveable moment. Prior to game time, they get those red balloons ready to unfurl and accompany the Huskers' first scoring effort, the TD effort from J.D. Spielman. A 99-yard kickoff return is the first 6-pointer of the year for the Huskers, and it provides our craveable moment, sponsored by Dr. Pepper. Up, and away. Just seconds after Blaze Taylor put Arkansas State in front with a punt return, Spielman responds as Chauncey Mason watches this kickoff from Drew Brown sail out of the end zone, and Spielman is still talking about that return. There is a flag down and some extracurriculars along the sideline. Jared Chandler's 31 for Arkansas State. He's a reserve defensive end. Just a shade less than 5 minutes with which to work in the opening quarter. And Nebraska on top.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Receiving team, number 31. Unsportsmanlike conduct. First down.
Chandler getting into a mix-up there along the Nebraska sideline. And the officials did not appreciate it. Jared's probably diagramming what went along there. Not signing any autographs.
You talked about this play right here, Lightborn. Gets a heck of a kick there. Well, watch this now. Watch him go. So often guys will get out of their lane, and the guy with that ability cuts the outside. Watch out.
Sun Belt Conference champs, the Red Wolves of Arkansas State with the ball. Flag down. Completion to Dijon Pascal. Seen a lot of yellow on the turf in this opening
Offside.
quarter.
Defense. Number 46.
Wow.
5-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, they're coming with a blitz and so anxious to come, and he anticipates the snap, and you can't do that.
They get Joshua Kalu, the 22-year-old senior from Houston, Texas. Normally a very disciplined player. That Nebraska 3-4 has a lot of moving parts nowadays. Justice Hansen is the quarterback for the Red Wolves. As laid back a competitor as you'll find, but don't let it fool you. Try it again. Pretty much a carbon copy of that play for Dijon Pascal. Knocked out of bounds. Mo Barry was in the vicinity. He and Dedrick Young expected to share snaps from their linebacker spot. On first down, Hansen will throw again. Little rollout into the flat. Connects with his tight end, Blake Mack. That's a player Glenn Mason has been keeping an eye on.
Yeah, when you take a guy that has that size, but the ability to play wide receiver, they say he could play outside also. And 4.5 speed, better know where he is.
Apologies there. It was 18 McInnes, not to 16 Mack. It's McInnes again. Hit hard along the sideline. Reed and Gifford were there for the Huskers.
The tempo of this offense is picking up.
Red Wolves not afraid to hurry up. It's 1st and 10. Hansen will throw again. Plenty of time. Protection breaks down, and he dives out to the 47. Akinmoladun was there to see him to the turf. Little less than 4 minutes to go in the opening quarter from Lincoln.
So much of quarterback play is good decisions. That was a great decision by Justice Hansen there. Nothing there. Green grass in front of you. Pull it down.
The Red Wolves, Glenn, are expecting to take more shots downfield this season. They want to drive the ball. This one, a sidearm delivery. Nice catch. Kendrick Edwards, the former Arkansas Razorback, who makes that catch.
Yeah, he wide open, put the ball in front of him, he catches it in his hands. Nice and low like they like it.
Red Wolves moving the football now into Nebraska territory. Kendrick Edwards was kicked off that Arkansas squad twice by head coach Brett Bielema. Sat out the 2016 season. That's the first catch for him since 2014. Liked it so much he gets it again. And a face full of Mohamed Barry there to make the tackle.
One of the key positions in this offense for Arkansas State is the wide receiver. He has to block that corner right on his nose, and that's not an easy job.
Hansen flings it out for Edwards. 3 catches in succession. Dragged down there by Alex Davis. Plays the cat position for Nebraska. Time ticking away in this opening quarter. Huskers on top after a 99-yard kickoff return from J.D. Spielman. First and 10 for the Red Wolves. Hansen floats this one perfectly on the money for Chris Murray. Touchdown, Arkansas State.
Hansen's pass completed to number 14, Chris Murray, for a 29-yard touchdown pass.
Glenn, they want to get Chris Murray 7 to 12 touches a game. He's an explosive, productive player, and Hansen found him there.
Yeah, he plays that A-back position, the slot position, and You try to get mismatches. There's all kinds of routes, quick slant, wheel routes. He becomes the target. You just can't pick out one guy, but a lot of times they look at him first.
Extra point try coming now from Sawyer Williams. Knocks it right on through. Arkansas State leapfrogs back into the lead. Hansen finds the open Murray. He does the rest on BTN. Chris Murray and the Arkansas State Red Wolves coming to Lincoln and appear unfazed. Justice Hansen directing his troops to a scoring drive that pays off with a 29-yard TD catch for Chris Murray. The band in Lincoln ready to prime itself up for the remainder of this opening quarter.
You know, Joe, that last kickoff coverage by Arkansas State didn't work very well. They might try something a little different here.
Sawyer Williams will hit it. End over end and deep. Spielman, being encouraged to take a knee, will do so. The Huskers will start 1st and 10 from their own 25. Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, packed to the rafters as usual. Nebraska coming in off of a 9-4 campaign overall last year. They were 6-3, Glenn, in the Big Ten, tied for 2nd in the West.
Yeah, by most standards, most programs, that's a pretty good year, but it's been a long time since they won a championship here in Lincoln, and patience is wearing thin.
Trey Bryan is the I-back. Captain Luke McNitt is the fullback. Lee under center off the play action. Skips away from some pressure, snaps this one to the fullback McNitt, who's undercut there by Darion Jackson after the first down pickup for Nebraska.
Yeah, if I was scouting the quarterback, Tanner Lee, and say, he really doesn't want to run the football. He's going to keep his eye downfield, and so when that's the case, sometimes you can tell your defensive people, don't worry about containing him. Just get after him on the rush, because he's not going to pull it down and run.
A little less than 2 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Bryant keeping those legs moving. He's taken it down by B.J. Edmonds.
Yeah, you can see it right there. That's big boy football right there. That's a good tackle.
Offensive coordinator Langsdorff, speaking of the offensive line, says they've been communicating extremely well through the camp. They know each other better. Pearsonell in motion. 2nd and 3. They give it to DeMornay. He juggled it, still made the rush into Arkansas State territory. Was hit hard along that sideline. Follow the bouncing ball here, Glenn.
Well, it's just what they call a jet sweep, and he bobbled the handoff and did a good job holding it on. And then, as you mentioned before, he's got electrifying speed. Husker faithful thought there should have been a late hit there, but officials thought otherwise.
Final minute of the opening quarter. Gain of 12 for Pearsonell, who's in the best shape of his college football life. Lee going deep shot down there for Stanley Morgan Jr. Has him. Touchdown Huskers. A pump of the fist from Tanner Lee. Applause all around here in Lincoln. 44 yards for 6. Stanley Morgan Jr. getting the congratulations on that Nebraska sideline. Streaking on a go route and on the receiving end of a nice toss from Tanner Lee. Red Wolves defender stays down on the deck. The athletic trainer for Arkansas State is Ron Carroll. as Lee discusses it with his coaches. Stanley Morgan Jr. just getting a step on Larry Wooden.
Yeah, Larry knew he was beat. He never even looked back for the ball. If he looked back for the ball, he might have been able to get a hand up, maybe, but that was an awfully well-thrown pass, and as you saw, Mr. Reliable, Stanley Morgan looked it right in, put it away, controlled it all the way to the ground.
Glenn, I'm not having very much fun with my 8s and 0s on the Arkansas State jersey font. That's Brandon Biner in the coverage, and he's the man who remained down and stunned afterwards. 28, not 20, Larry Wooden. Stanley Morgan Jr. awaiting confirmation of this touchdown catch. Our replay official is Gary Bram tonight. He's
After further review, ruling of touchdown is confirmed.
Communication with Kurt Johnson. They both agree, and Nebraska takes the lead back.
You know, Joe, coming in this game, Arkansas State was supposed to be the quick strike team. It's Nebraska tonight.
Extra point try to come for Nebraska. Ober will snap, Darlington will hold, and Drew Brown knocks it on through. 17-14, all in the opening frame. Tanner Lee's on the board. Stanley Morgan Jr. giving himself an early birthday present. He turns 21 in about 5 days now. The junior from New Orleans has put Nebraska on top here in Lincoln. A wide open affair in this season opener for these two squads. Just the third time they've met all time. Nebraska has won both, the last time in September of 2012, here by the final count of 42-13.
This Arkansas State team's a good team. You know, they've back-to-back winners of the Sun Belt Conference.
Another booming kick, not giving Chauncey Mason a chance to return it. We send it to the field. Here's Elise Menaker with more on the Nebraska quarterback.
Thanks, Joe. I think what we're seeing out on the field here from Tanner Lee is a perfect example of what offensive coordinator Danny Langsdorff was talking about earlier this week with us, and that is Lee isn't going to be a roller coaster of emotion. He's going to be very steady, and when I talked to Lee, it was my favorite thing he told me. He said great players make their team better than maybe they actually even are. So maybe even that's what we're seeing out here in his first game, that this team right now is just responding thanks to their leader, Lee. Joe?
Elise Langsdorff really loves his demeanor. He says you can be hard on this guy and he won't go in the tank. He'll continue to battle. Jamal Jones is in the backfield for Arkansas State, giving Warren Wand a breather. This is Jones hiding behind the offensive lineman, running into the arms of Chris Weber, who makes the tackle, getting some help from Marcus Newby. 49-3 there in the Nebraska D. The scarlet and cream on display here at Memorial Stadium. Hansen to throw. Teaming up with Chris Murray, who dives ahead. Stopped at the 38. Final seconds of the opening frame ticking away. Not enough time for Arkansas State to get off one more play. 15 minutes complete in Lincoln. A very exciting contest. High scoring with the Huskers on top by 3 after 1. All returns going all the way. There's a whole lot of red in the house. BTN football presented by Taco Bell here in Lincoln, Nebraska, with the Cornhuskers leading the Red Wolves of Arkansas State after one quarter by the 17-14 margin. Joe Beninati and Glenn Mason upstairs. Elise Menaker is our sideline reporter, as we shout out thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew for their efforts the past couple of days. Arkansas State in the white jerseys in possession. On 1st and 10, Hansen floats this one towards midfield. It is Blake Mack, the tight end, who brings it down. Mack, who is a second-team All-Sun Belt Conference performer a season ago, gets 12. Nebraska D coordinator Bob Diaco called the Arkansas State offense basketball on grass, Glenn. They like to move.
Well, they like to move. They like to throw the ball all over the place. And, you know,
prior to the snap, ball start, offense, number 75, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
They get Dalton Ford, who was a backup last year, taking the starting chores for Coach Anderson at left guard.
You know, there's technique involved and there's execution, but the bottom line is they want to get the ball in space to skilled players and see if he can defend them.
Murray in motion. He has a touchdown tonight. Swing it out to him in the flat. Murray shouldered out of bounds by Joshua Kalu.
I'm impressed with a couple things on Arkansas State. The accuracy of the quarterback, Justin Hansen. They start everything with a run fake, and the back does a great job faking inside even though he has the ball. And then the ball's on the perimeter, but the interior people are tied down because they think the running back has the ball.
Hansen completed 57.9% last year. He was 8-2 as a starter. Throws this one out there, nearly an acrobatic one-handed grab from Murray. This brings up a 3rd and 7.
Let's look what he sees. They got pretty good protection. He stands tall. Sidearms it in there. He's got a chance. Throwing to a void and holding defense. He knows when to put a little touch on it, like there. He knows other times when he has to zing it in there.
Arkansas State cheerleaders are outnumbered. Husker fans getting loud on 3rd and 7. Hansen in the pocket. Murray attempting to grab that low throw. Arkansas State's going to have to punt this one away. Punt chores belong to Cody Grace, a redshirt sophomore. DeMornay Pearsonell hoping to get involved in all the special teams fun that we saw in the opening quarter. Blaze Taylor of Arkansas State with a punt return touchdown. J.D. Spielman with a kickoff return touchdown of 99 yards. Nice special teams work there as that one floats right to the waiting arms of Jeremy Smith. We'll have you back to Lincoln in just a few moments with the Huskers on top. Folks, you can help the people affected by Hurricane Harvey by visiting redcross.org or texting the word Harvey to 90999. By doing that, you make a $10 donation. Your donation enables the Red Cross. This disaster, the video images, Glenn, coming from Houston during and in the aftermath of the hurricane, they've been shocking.
Yeah, can't help but cry when you look at it.
And those affected in Texas really need your good intentions and your generosity. Donate what you can. Tanner Lee for DeMornay Pearsonell. Moving the chains for Nebraska as we go to Rick Pizzo for this studio update.
Joe, how about the Boilers? Purdue hanging tough with Lamar Jackson in Louisville. David Blau to Richie Worship on the screen for the touchdown. Game has gone to the half. Purdue leads Louisville 14-10.
Rick, the Boilermakers have lost 17 straight to ranked teams as Louisville comes in under the direction of, or rather Purdue comes into that one with Jeff Rome making his head coaching debut for the Boilers against his old school in Louisville.
I think Jeff was a great hire for Purdue. I think he fits the culture there. He has the type of offense that the Boilermakers are used to when they had success. Drew Brees days and Joe Tiller days back there. I think he'll do a tremendous job.
Defensive tackle Donovan Ransom shaking his right arm as he makes his way off the field. It's 1st and 10 for Nebraska. Trey Bryant in the backfield. Takes the handoff from Tanner Lee and scampers across the 30. Wrestled down to the ground by Michael Johnson. Junior college transfer coming in to fill in the ranks for the Arkansas State Red Wolves, who lost a lot of talent in their secondary to graduation. Bryant picks up 12. Trey will turn 20 next month. His first career rushing touchdown was against Fresno State on BTN here a year ago. Lee off the play action. Zips this one on target to Stanley Morgan Jr. into the waiting arms of Blaze Taylor, and then help comes from the Red Wolf defense. Another first down pickup for the Huskers.
When I asked Mike Riley, now going into 3rd year with a pro-style quarterback, are we going to see the offense that like he used to use at Oregon State? He said, no, you're going to see some old with some new. There's a blend there that we like, and I think we're seeing that tonight.
Stanley Morgan Jr. averaged 13.7 a catch last year. He picked up 17 there. Back to the ground in Bryant. Red Wolves not letting him get ahead of steam there. Reserve linebacker Caleb Bonner was the last man off the pile. Griffin Riggs off the end was engaged in that tackle just the same as we near the 3-minute mark of the 2nd quarter in Lincoln, with the Huskers on top by 3.
So I asked Mike, what's your offense? Run the tailback 25 times, wide receiver, carrying the ball in reverse or jets, play action, throw the ball deep. He wasn't lying.
Hoppus and Ketter in there. 2 tight ends set. Quickly for Tyjon Lindsey, a guy who can make people miss. 18-year-old freshman from Corona, California. He's the centerpiece of the Husker 2017 recruiting class.
I think we're seeing 2 really good quarterbacks here tonight. Accuracy, decision-making, where they're throwing the ball.
Both guys, Glenn, known for their even-keeled approach. Lee on the handoff for Bryant. Cuts back against the grain. Beats Blaze Taylor and gets outside. Bryant hurdling tacklers all the way down to the Arkansas State 15. An electrifying 24-yard run for Trey Bryant. No doubt BTN standout right here, Coach.
Well, you know, the thing about it, it's tremendous. And if you hear the crowd roar, especially, I mean, they like great plays, but when an I-back has a physical play, they go wild here at Lincoln.
Huskers in business deep in Red Wolf territory. Wilbon slashing off tackle. Dropped by Justin Clifton. Mikhail Wilbon, very sudden, dynamic runner out of that Husker backfield.
Yeah, they made a point that the nod was going to go to Trey Bryant tonight, but they say, wait a minute, these guys, we got a bunch of them. They're all good. We'll put them in any situation.
Coach Riley says both Bryant and Wilbon can be every down backs. Nearing the 5-minute mark of the 2nd quarter. Wilbon again. Has some running room. Lowers his shoulder and scores. Mikhail Wilbon.
Well, you can see it right there. Pulling lineman picks him up, and then you got speed at the running back. And I got the feeling when these I-backs see the goal line, you're not going to be stopped. Really good at the end. He squares his shoulders and gets on in there.
First career touchdown for Mikhail Wilbon. Building the lead for Nebraska. Drew Brown was perfect on his extra point tries a season ago. He knocks that one through. Nebraska has its largest lead on the night. It's a cakewalk for Mikhail Wilbon and the Huskers. Tomorrow, star quarterback Josh Rosen leads UCLA into action when they kick off the season against Texas A&M on Fox. Then on Friday, don't miss the Boilermakers home opener against Ohio. It's all coming up on Fox and FS1. Our collaboration with Fox this year, a great resource for us on BTN as we bring you college football action from Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Cornhuskers have a 24-14 advantage over their guests from Jonesboro, Arkansas. Brown sends this one end over end. Mason from the 6. Launched himself across the 26-yard line where he's brought down to a halt. Here's Elise Menaker with more on the Husker fans. A show of support for the A-State Anderson family.
Yes, it's been quite a week for Arkansas State head coach Blake Anderson. When we talked to him Monday, he was actually standing outside of the hospital where his wife was having a tumor removed. She was diagnosed with breast cancer earlier this year. So the student section put this banner together for her. They said they wanted to do something special. And guys, they're actually giving it to her after the game so she can have that. And the good news there, Coach tweeted yesterday that his wife is officially cancer-free. Joe?
Just an incredible story, and she's well enough to be on the trip with the team today. Justice Hansen fires this one, and a diving catch is made. Christian Booker, another of the A-backs, there to make that grab. And the team, Glenn, presented the print to Wendy and Blake. This signed and autographed print prior to their drive in to Lincoln this afternoon.
Well, let's all pray that obviously she's got a good diagnosis there. Let's keep her in our prayers.
Blake said Wendy's been with him through 25 years of this coaching craziness. Red Wolves with a completion there for Dijon Pascal. Marcus Newby makes the tackle for the Huskers. Ticking down to nearly 9 minutes remaining in the second quarter of this one. It was 17-14 Huskers after one frame. 2nd and 5. On the ground. Warren Wand. Tripped up by Dedrick Young.
Cornhuskers in that 3-4 defense. Because of the down and distance, they went to a 4-3 defense, but they gave up contain.
First down pickup for the Red Wolves. Hansen launching this one incomplete. He was looking for Pascal once again. Already in the top 10 at Arkansas State in touchdowns and career receiving yards.
You know, Joe, the pace of this Arkansas State offense starting to take its toll on that defense. That last snap, they didn't even get the sign from the sideline and get down in their stances before that ball was snapped.
All those fall camp conditioning drills come to the forefront now. 2nd and 10. Wand, less success this time. Gobbled up quickly by Carlos Davis, winner of Nebraska's Most Improved Player Award a season ago. Coach Diaco says the front is the sturdiest and best part of his defense, but he didn't think we'd be able to see much of that tonight with the way Arkansas State slings it out so quickly.
Well, you talk about blitzing. He likes to blitz, but it's hard to blitz this outfit because they get rid of the ball so quick.
A noisy 3rd and 8. Jones in motion. Hansen to throw. On target once more to Christian Booker. Ridden hard out of bounds.
Now, you know, if you're a defensive player and you're out there, you're sucking wind and get the 3rd and 8, you say, man, we gotta make this play so we go to the sideline. Whoa. Lucky there.
16 yards on the pitch and catch. Arkansas State is moving it again. Hansen off the pump fake, opens up his target and makes the completion. A steady diet of Christian Booker, wrapped up by Dedrick Young. Young, a tackle machine for the Huskers in his first couple of seasons in Lincoln. Arkansas State is knocking on the door. It's 1st and goal. one. A little pitch to Jones as he's bumped to the sideline. Eric Lee Jr. in position at his cornerback spot.
Well, he's under pressure, but he eludes it, and he's got the wherewithal to get it out downfield. You know, Joe, as you get closer to the goal line, that field shrinks. It should be harder to execute this offense because the Cornhuskers don't have to worry about the deep throw.
First and goal from the 9. Hansen, that pass deflected, diving, nearly picked. Was it picked by Ferguson? Tyron Ferguson, reserve linebacker, got his hands underneath that football to make the interception.
I told you it was tough to throw the ball down there, didn't I, Joe?
You sure did, right on cue.
Well, it was intercepted, but I think a wide receiver was wide open in the end zone.
A good display of hands twice on the deflection and the catch.
Here we go, play action fake. They get a tip ball. Heads up right there. Yep. That's the thing. If you can't get, look at that. If you can't get to the passer, then you got to get the hands up. These are all big guys, and you can't give them an open throwing lane. Sometimes you see some guys that don't even rush. They just stand up and put their hands up. Awful tough when you're 6'4", 6'5" with those long arms.
Freedom Akinmoladun deflecting the pass. The man who led the Huskers in QB hurries a season ago. And Tyron Ferguson lays out to make the interception, stopping the drive for Arkansas State in its tracks. First and 10 from the 1. Look out! That's going to be a safety. Slashing through was Kyle Wilson, the linebacker, and he made sure Trey Bryant was going nowhere.
Well, that's got to be a missed assignment up front because that young man got there before the ball did.
No running room for Bryant. Put 2 on the board for the Red Wolves. Nebraska's lead on BTN trimmed to 24-16. Here's Glenn Mason diagramming a safety.
Hey, you want to see how this happens? Watch here. Watch the linebacker right here, Wilson. He's going to come through that A-gap unblocked. That right guard, Tanner Farmer, you got to come off and protect that A-gap. That's your responsibility. He knows it.
Arkansas State led the nation in tackles for loss per game last year. Kyle Wilson catching Trey Bryant in the backfield. Off the safety, it's Lightbourne with a free kick. Blaze Taylor, away he goes. Taylor getting it out across the 40-yard line, another healthy return. And there are multiple flags down on the play.
I think it's a late hit on out of bounds.
All MAC officiating crew tonight, led by referee Kurt Johnson. We were penalty flag plagued in the opening quarter. Not nearly as much to this point now in the second frame with 6:54 left in it. Separating us from our Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report.
There are 2 fouls in the play. Both will be enforced. During the return, holding, return team, number 16, 10-yard penalty. After the play, dead ball, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 26, the kicking team, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Blake Mack whistled for Arkansas State. Kyron Williams for Nebraska.
Well, you can see 16 right there had hands out and pushed the man in the back. That's the penalty on the return team. And then obviously the late hit.
When the officials do the math, it's first and 10 Arkansas State from its own 39.
Mike Riley will be the first to tell you some penalties are unavoidable. Others aren't. That penalty there, hitting out of bounds, should never happen.
Justice Hansen at the controls. Flips it out to Omar Bayless, and Bayless has some running room. Attached to him at the end was Aaron Williams, starting safety in this Nebraska look.
You can see the frustration start taking place. Eric Lee, the corner, number 6, he can't go inside. He's got no help if the ball goes outside. Critical mistake by that corner.
Give Hansen another 18 yards passing. Pitch and catch again on the slant with Kendrick Edwards. Buster Faulkner, the offensive coach for Arkansas State, said he couldn't wait to see Kendrick Edwards in Red Wolves colors. Made his 4th grab on the night, bringing up a 1st and 10 now for the Red Wolves in Nebraska territory. Warren Wan running into the arms of Mo Barry, an academic All-Big Ten at his linebacker position.
This stuff is so simple but so effective, man. When you stretch that defense out because all these perimeter throws and everybody starts cheating those linebackers out, then you hand the ball off to the running back.
Warren Wand, small but explosive, led this team in rushing yards last year. Dropped to the turf with an ankle tackle made by Aaron Williams.
Yeah, Bob Diaco said enough of that. I'm not sitting back. So they called up blitz. They brought the linebacker off the edge and made a good play. Put him in 3rd and short.
Let's call it 3rd and 1. From the gun, Nebraska shows blitz. Hansen connecting to Chris Murray. Murray trying to get the ball inside the 20. Lamar Jackson will get credit for the stop. It moves the chains for the Red Wolves. Nice effort there from Lamar Jackson. Told us he's got to give maximum effort on every play this season. Hansen over the middle. Just misfires for Omar Bayless.
Yeah, threw a little bit deeper there, and they get to him, but too late.
Khalil Davis hovering over the fallen quarterback. He's dropped a lot of weight since first arriving in Lincoln, working on his conditioning. Hansen delivers to Bayless, and sniffing that out immediately was DiCaprio Boodle. Boodle igniting the roars now of the Husker Nation, trying to help the defense. 3rd and 10 for Arkansas State as Hansen will check the play. Play clock, that is. And Arkansas State will take the timeout. First of the half for them. Back for this opening half's conclusion in a moment on BTN. Saturday, a full slate of college football comes your way with a great triple header of action on BTN, plus a pair of Big Ten Pac-12 matchups. Nebraska battling Oregon on Fox. Minnesota takes on Oregon State on FS1. All next week on BTN, FS1, and Fox. Nebraska in Oregon for the first time since 1952. This is 3rd and 10 as the Huskers entertain Arkansas State. Justice Hansen to throw. Put some air under this one. Just too tall for his intended receiver, Justin McInnes. There is a flag down.
As late as that came out, it might be a late hit on the quarterback.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense. Number 96. After this is the goal line. Includes automatic first down.
Judging by your well, I'm guessing you didn't agree.
Well, I see what you saw, but I think the offensive lineman might have knocked him over. They rush 5.
Sets up Arkansas State with a 1st and goal. Wand carving his way through. Just there in the nick of time was Chris Webber for the Huskers. Hurry up. Back come the Red Wolves to the line of scrimmage. Hansen too tall there. Looking for Justin McInnes. Another junior college transfer.
Let's watch it right here. See, he goes by him. I think his left tackle ran him over, and the official thought it was the defender.
Carlos Davis was extending his arms to give the quarterback a shove at the same time, too, and he was the man who was ruled guilty. Husker faithful digging in to help their defenders on 3rd and goal. Mack in motion. Play action. Hansen drops it off. Beautifully done. And it is Blake Mack launching himself to the end zone for the score.
To number 16, Blake Mack. 3 yards in the Arkansas State touchdown.
Too early to go for 2. All these guys got these charts, Joe, go for 2 and the score and all that stuff. I always said, you know what? Don't even start looking at that till well into the 4th quarter. Too much football to be played.
Cottongim will snap it. Damon Fonchen will hold for Sawyer Williams from Allen, Texas. Mostly kickoff duties last year. Knocks this extra point through. And the Red Wolves are within 1 here in Lincoln. Back for more in the opening half right after this.
The big game, huh? Boy, I wish your mom was here. Instead of over there.
I ain't afraid to say it, go blue. I'll kick it.
She needs this, kids. Mom needs this.
Have some. Just get it done.
Reliving the glory days isn't always rewarding, but Hotels.com is. Unlock instant savings now and earn free nights to use later. Hotels.com.
Blake Mack recorded 3 touchdowns last year. He has himself on the board with a 3-yard grab from Justice Hansen, and all of a sudden, the Red Wolves are within 1. If you're joining us a little late for this BTN football presented by Taco Bell, we can summarize the activity up until now. It's been a high-scoring and entertaining game with a lot of special teams work. Arkansas State piling up the yardage total. Look at the passing numbers for Hansen, and that's only 1/2 a play, which still has 3:45 left in it.
Should I venture to say we got a lot of football ahead of us here?
Sure do.
They're just getting warmed up here in Lincoln.
Nebraska has won 19 straight home night games here at Memorial Stadium. Sawyer Williams gets it back into play. This one twists out of bounds. Huskers will take possession.
That'll drive you nuts as a coach.
Free kick out of bounds. Kicking team. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. 1st down.
Folks, listen up. Troy Johnson and Jenny Dell continue their search for the best food in the Big Ten. This week, they discovered the best international cuisines around campuses. Don't miss the premiere of Campus Eats, presented by Eat Street, Tuesday at 10 Eastern, right here on BTN. Every time I watch that show, Glenn, I make a mental note and a physical note. Must attend, must visit, must get a reservation. I have to do better at arriving at those locales.
I'm going to tell you the number one thing you got to do better at, pick the check up when we go out.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa. We split last night.
That's right.
We did well last night.
It was our producer that has a hard time doing that.
No, don't do that. He bought lunch.
Well, that leaves the least, doesn't it?
Is accounting listening? Is accounting listening on line 1? Just over 3 minutes left in this opening half. 2nd and 5 for the Huskers. Lee off the play action. Drop it off there to the tight end. Tyler Hoppus with a first down grab. Folks, stay tuned for the Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report. Abe Revson, Jerry DiNardo, Howard Griffith will be along from our Chicago studios. Going to get you caught up on all the games and news in the Big Ten today. This the final game involving a Big Ten team. The 122nd season of Big Ten football beginning this Labor Day weekend. Started with a conference opener, Ohio State and Indiana. Impressive comeback from the Buckeyes as Lee heaves this one downfield. Mistimed there for Brian Reimers. Offensive coordinator Langsdorf said to us yesterday, Glenn, they have a couple of plays written, especially for Brian Reimers, and they call them the touchdown plays because usually when they work well, it's 6.
He said the players give him a hard time because they only put him in when it's a touchdown,
2.5 to go on 2nd and 10 out of the I. Cole Conrad is the center for Tanner Lee. The I back is Trey Bryant. Hit hard by Blaze Taylor coming in off the corner.
Now, if you're Bob Diaco, the defensive coordinator in Nebraska, you're looking at that clock saying 2:16 and count and get that first down. I don't want these guys going back on the field. They got to get into the locker room to straighten some things out.
3rd down and 7 for the Huskers. Under the direction now of Tanner Lee, 22-year-old redshirt junior. Lee has plenty of time. Beautiful touch on that pass, complete to Stanley Morgan Jr. First down, Nebraska.
Yeah, this well-timed play. He just runs a little flag route. He's wide open, and it's a high-low versus the corner. You got someone in the flat. You put the flag behind him. You're one man to read. Little touch pass right on the money. First down.
Lee and Morgan Jr. hooked up for a 44-yard TD back in the opening quarter. Nebraska had the 17-14 advantage. Their lead now is 1. Lee under center. Gives for Bryant. Finding a hole that was closed quickly by B.J. Edmonds.
When you're running the ball, as you mentioned, B.J. Evans made a tackle, and he was the only guy there. Sooner or later, you're going to break the tackle, and it's going to be a home run. Or, from a pass standpoint, that safety's coming down too fast.
Huskers here at home, favored in their matchup against Arkansas State, but clinging to that 1-point advantage as Lee snaps this one on target for Tyjon Lindsey, but his opposite, number 1, Blaze Taylor, says, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, Reimers has got to block that corner.
Huskers working late in this opening half. We'll have more in a moment. Mike Riley to the left, Blake Anderson to the right. Good friends and coaching adversaries, at least for this night. Nebraska hoping to put some points on the board, Glenn, late in this opening half, and they'll get the ball to start the second half.
Yeah, the thing about it, anytime you can take the ball right before the half, and as they did, and move it and put it in scoring range, and they'd sure like to get a 7 out of this, but if they end up with a field goal, they'll be happy. And you talk about those two coaches, they're both on the board of trustees, the American Football Coaches Association.
Know each other well from conferences and meetings. Lee's pass across the middle. Taylor was there to break it up with help from Edmonds as they interrupted the route. J.D. Spielman was the intended target. Fancies himself as a Percy Harvin type slot receiver.
That's saying a mouthful.
He'd like to be. J.D. Spielman originally committed to Ohio State, Glenn, to play lacrosse. Believe it or not. Field goal try now, a 41-yard attempt for Drew Brown. The kick on the way and powered right on through. Brown in in his career is 18 for 25 between 40 and 49 yards. He improves the Husker lead with little over a minute to go in this first half.
4 seconds remaining at Hail Mary time. Kellogg's throw. It's going to be tipped and caught. It's caught. It's caught in the touchdown, Husker Towns.
That was a little less than 4 years ago, and how many incredible catches did that man, Jordan Westerkamp, make while on campus for the Huskers as we celebrate our 10th anniversary of Big Ten Network. Another kickoff out of bounds. We've seen a slew of those tonight.
Free kick out of bounds, kicking team. The ball will be placed, 35-yard line, first down.
Monday night, folks, BTN will continue the anniversary celebration. A look at the most exciting plays, highlights, and moments from the 2007-8 season. Don't miss BTN 10 Big Years, presented by Auto Owners Insurance. Monday, 7:30 Eastern, right here on BTN.
Well, Joe, you expect Arkansas State to be in 2-minute offense because they're in 2-minute offense all the time. So there's no change.
Waning stages of this opening half in a high-scoring contest. Murray in motion. Hansen takes the snap. Gives it to the man they nicknamed the Magic Wand in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Warren Wand. Arkansas State coming in as the Sun Belt co-champions. Hansen teaming up with Omar Bayless, driven out of bounds by Dedrick Young. Clock stops with 39 ticks remaining in the first half of play.
Bayless did a good job of catching that ball, make sure he got out of bounds.
Justice Hansen might have to ice down that right elbow, coach, between the second and third quarter. Chucking up a storm here in Lincoln. Off the play action. Oh, in and out of the hands of his receiver, Chris Murray, who was running before he caught it.
And Marcus Newby's out there. He's got to do a better job of rerouting that slot receiver. He's just coming off the ball, and he's getting right in that void between the outside backer, Newby, and the inside backer.
Red Wolves have moved Murray from the outside to the inside, taking advantage of his speed in the slot. 2nd and 10. Hansen flicks it to Murray. Gobbled up pretty quickly by Chris Webber, a blue-collar throwback linebacker, in the words of Bob Diaco, the D coordinator for the Huskers. A pickup of 8. It'll bring up 3rd and short, just inside Husker territory, and timeout for some discussion. Just tuning in with us, Nebraska had the 17-14 advantage after 15 minutes. Last man on the board was place kicker Drew Brown for the Huskers with a 41-yard field goal, making it 27-23. Among the 23 points for head coach Blake Anderson's Red Wolves, a safety. Kyle Wilson, the linebacker, tackling Trey Bryant in the end zone, picking up 2 points for the Red Wolves. As the Husker defense looks to stiffen in the final 25 seconds of quarter 2. DeAndre Thomas getting repositioned in the middle. Impressive true freshman. Juan throws the stiff arm out. Gifford gets help from Joshua Kalu to finish off the diminutive tailback.
Are you saying that because the young man's 5'5"?
5'5", in stature tall, but he is strong. Some folks refer to him as Darren Sproles 2.0. Hansen for Wand. Gifford right there to track him down, wrestling him to the turf. Juan had 24 catches last year. He's good getting out into the flat out of the backfield. He picks up 5. Another timeout taken by Arkansas State. It's last of the half.
Yeah, so now here's where the strategy comes in as a coach. You know, it'd be a long field goal attempt. You got 10 seconds left, but you don't have any more timeouts. So you got to go to some throw that's along the sideline, or at the very least past the first down, to stop the clock while the chains are being moved. But whatever you're going to do, you're going to get rid of the ball quick here.
That's Glenn Mason. I'm Joe Beninati. Elise Menaker has been joining us as our sideline reporter tonight. BTN football presented by Taco Bell. Mike Riley's Nebraska Cornhuskers entertaining the Arkansas State Red Wolves on the season opening night for the Huskers here in Lincoln. Student section hoping the defense will finish matters unscathed.
Now, if you got something reliable that you can execute in your bag of tricks, a one-play type thing that you work on last play of the game, some type of deal, you might see that here.
4 wide receivers in the pattern. Nebraska showing blitz, and here they come. Hansen on a crossing route underneath to the tight end, Mack. Stopped there by Aaron Williams.
Now they're going to clock the ball.
Trying to get their field goal unit out there, Glenn. Whistles blaring out.
I don't know why with 3 seconds they would have just lined up and just clocked it, though. I think you could get that done. Right there. Uh-oh.
39-yard field goal attempt. They hustle the special teams group in. Kick on the way and drifting. It curls inside the uprights. It's good. Arkansas State. Sawyer Williams converts at the end of the half, and Mike Riley wants an explanation.
Yeah, that's I never even thought about that. The helmet coming off would stop the clock. Players got to leave the field. Let's see it right here. Here's the play. He's down. It's first down. They stop the clock.
It's Blake Mack down on the turf losing his lid.
Yeah, it fell off.
Mike Riley being escorted after a very high-scoring first half. 27-26. Huskers have the lead, folks. Stay tuned. The Buffalo Wild Wings halftime report. Dave, Jerry, and Howard coming up. Nebraska has the lead. We're at the half in Lincoln. Big Ten football presented by Taco Bell with Nebraska in front of Arkansas State 27-26, 355 consecutive sellouts. Approximately, when it's all said and done, about 90,000. Taking a gander at the Huskers and the Red Wolves, Nebraska #1 in the sellout streak. We're outdistancing Notre Dame. Before we start the third quarter, here's our sideline reporter, Elise Menaker. She was able to catch up with both coaches.
Yes. Hi, Joe. I spoke to head coach Mike Riley, and the first thing I said to him was, hey, how about this for a first game? He goes, oh, my gosh, just look at the scoreboard. He said he wasn't expecting this type of game, but he did know that Arkansas State would be good. What he's most impressed with is their execution. He said their passing game. He looked up at the scoreboard. He said they already have 245 passing yards. What we have to do in the second half is make a stop. As for Arkansas State, Coach Anderson told me, hey, we're not going to outmuscle these guys, so we have to stop causing turnovers and cause a turnover on our end. He's not as impressed with his passing yards, but what he says the key for them is just going to be making the key plays. They have some drops, and they're going to have to clean it up. Joe?
Arkansas State, Elise, was concerned about Nebraska's ground and pound game. Punishing offensive linemen, exerting their will. Nebraska will get the football to start this third quarter, leading by 1 over Arkansas State out of the Sun Belt Conference. Black and scarlet against scarlet and cream tonight. Next week, Arkansas State hosts Miami. They kick this one short, fielded by an upback who takes a tumble there. That's reserve tight end Connor Ketter who made the catch. They're hoping for a sellout at Centennial Bank Stadium in Jonesboro. They call it the Vault. They get around 31,000. It should be the highest ranked team ever to visit Jonesboro. when the Hurricanes come a-calling. But between now and then, some heavy lifting for the Red Wolves against Tanner Lee and the Huskers. Trey Bryant has been the lead I-back for the Nebraska Cornhuskers tonight. He starts the third quarter behind Tanner Lee under center Cole Conrad. Here comes Bryant. Wrapped up around the knees and ankles by Kyle Wilson. Turned in a two-point safety for the Red Wolves back in the second quarter. Second-year starter Glennie had 15 and a half tackles for loss last year.
Yeah, they got him out of Hutch Community College down in Kansas, and pretty darn good recruit.
See there, number 11 in the white. We haven't called his name very much. Javon Roland Jones. That's the Conference Player of the Year in the Sun Belt. Only the second time ever a defender had won that award. Player down on the field, writhing in some pain here for Arkansas State. Second time in the game we've seen Donovan Ransom in need of medical attention.
Yeah, you can see he put him right on his back.
Glenn, while we have the chance, we're going to step away with Nebraska in front early in quarter three. First-year starter Donovan Ransom, with assistance from the athletic training staff, making his way to the sideline. Nebraska has a 27-26 advantage. Ransom played in 6 games back in 2015 before a season-ending injury. He turns 21 in a week as we set you up for our Quicken Loans quarterback comparison. Glenn, 2 guys who've been productive.
Yeah, you got to be impressed with both guys. You know, you look at Hansen, he's got the yards, most impressive. You look at Tanner Lee, though, 10 of 14, very, very accurate.
Third down and short for Nebraska. It's 3rd and 2. Opening minute of the third quarter. Trey Bryant skips his way to the hole, picks up the first down yardage for the Huskers, brings the ball ahead to the 45.
You watch Trey Bryant run, and you know the cuts that he makes. He's got great vision, and as he makes the cut, he's gaining ground at the same time.
Another guy who won Nebraska Newcomer of the Year awards a season ago, helping to fill the shoes of Terrell Newby. Bryant picked up 7 on that carry. 1st and 10. He gets it again. He's out of the gate. Trey Bryant slashing down the sideline. Cut from behind. Taken out of bounds by Justin Clifton.
Well, you talk about blending the old and the new. That's just the counter play that Nebraska's run since the beginning of time. Those guys can run that play. Those guys, I'm talking about the offensive linemen in their sleep.
Nice job by Tanner Farmer, 63 in the red, a second-year starter, a Sam Foltz Leadership Award winner for his efforts a season ago. McNitt, the fullback, in motion. Bryant gets staggered in the backfield before he was taken down. Lost yardage on the play, brings up a 2nd and 11. We've seen Clifford Thomas enter the game, number 98. On the D-line for Arkansas State, with Donovan Ransom on the sideline ailing. Tanner Lee brings him up to the line of scrimmage. Sends Tyjon Lindsey in motion, fakes the fly sweep, but there is a whistle before the play began. Nebraska takes the timeout.
This will be a 30-second timeout.
They had a personnel problem there, Joe. You saw one player came on the field, he stopped, he ran back off, then another guy ran back on, and then he was split out at wide receiver, and then he went in. You know what? And that's a veteran coach right there. He's not happy about that, but he doesn't want a bad play potential in this position on the field, in this position in the game.
Timeout taken while the coach continues to stew.
That's about as angry as you'll ever see Coach Riley get.
Prowling the sideline. Mike Riley in his 3rd season as the head coach here in Nebraska. 17 seasons overall as a collegiate head coach. With Tanner Lee's arrival, the offense starting to resemble the one that was under Riley and Langsdorf's direction at Oregon State. Out of the gun, Lee to throw. Puts some air into this one, and a leaping grab is made. The tight end, Tyler Hoppus, an impressive catch. Out of bounds at the 1.
This is big time. Watch it. Watch him go up, catch it in his hands, put it away, control it all the way to the ground. This young man from Lincoln, when we met with the coaches, they said they were impressed. Big time potential.
Everybody talked about him as a threat. I formation behind Lee. It's McNitt and Bryant. McNitt, the fullback, stopped first by Kyle Wilson, who put an immediate thump on him.
Luke McNitt, you know, he was the lifter of the year. And I asked, what do you have to do to be the lifter of the year? And they told me, you got to lift a lot of weight.
Starting to make a lot of Vandy Janovich comparisons for McNitt. Former walk-on, now captain of the Huskers from Kearney, Nebraska. 2nd and goal. Arkansas State asking for time. Will do so as well. Get you back to Lincoln in a moment. Here in Lincoln, this happened while we were away at commercial. There was a flag thrown against the Arkansas State sideline, Glenn, and we were informed that the officials would be paying very close attention to how coaching staffs would approach them, would challenge calls. They needed to do it from the white of the sideline, but as you can see, head coach Blake Anderson protesting. His staff was hit with an unsportsmanlike. Big Ten supervisor of officials Bill Carollo mentioned to us that coach's conduct was one of the items on the agenda for the officials. Don't challenge the calls on the field. Nebraska 1st and goal. Leisurely into the end zone. Touchdown, Husker. Brown on for the extra point, and Drew knocks it through, improving the Huskers' lead to 8. Just shy of the 4-minute mark here in the 3rd quarter. Trey Bryant tacking on the 1-yard run.
Well, here we go. And just another play with one of those big linemen pulling out, the fullback leading through, and these guys know this. Again, Mike Riley talked about, he doesn't want to give up on everything that the Cornhuskers have been good over the year because they're awful good at it. They understand that mentality. They're not going to have a lot of running plays, Joe, as he mentioned, but they're going to be good at them, and they're going to have all kinds of pass patterns, but their curveball, as he calls it, is multiple personnel groups.
It was Arkansas State defensive coordinator Joe Cawthon who said with his group facing the Nebraska offense, their biggest concern was the way they pound you. Not used to matching that type of offensive line surge from the Sun Belt Conference squads. Nebraska has a 34-26 lead. An end-over-end kick. over the head of Mason for the touchback. Down to Elise Menica with more on the Red Wolves offense.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. You know, I mentioned at the half that Anderson wasn't really impressed with Arkansas State's passing game. That's because they want to do more on the ground. They want to wear down this Nebraska defense. He told me in the beginning, you know, we were gaining 1-2 yards on our plays. Slowly it turned into 3-4. But what they want to do is make Nebraska rotate out more. He says, I hope that if we could do more on the ground, we would wear down any defense. Joe?
At least we appreciate it. Freedom Akinmoladun lining up against a young, inexperienced offensive line. The Red Wolves lost all 5 starters from their O-line a season ago. 2 of them were all conference. Justice Hansen to sprint out. Hansen throws on the run, and it's a easy grab for Chris Murray.
You know, Joe, to Lisa's point, when she's talking there, you remember I asked the coaches of Arkansas State, last year they were a better second half team than they were a first half team. What was the reason? And they said conditioning.
They emphasize it, they stress it. Lauren Vaughn busting loose. Vaughn wrapped up by Joshua Kalu. Very willing tackler, in the words of D coordinator Bob Diaco. As the Huskers cheerleaders get in the act. Hansen operating quickly as he's done all night. Going through his progressions. Safety valve is wand, shouldered there rudely by Eric Lee Jr. A pair of 6s with a heavy-duty collision.
Yeah, you're watching a great football play here. 2 guys, you know, you don't get a big hit like that unless both guys are going hard.
The give for Jamal Jones, carving ahead, stopped by Aaron Williams. Second-year starter from the safety spot for Nebraska. Missing Chris Jones, outstanding cornerback from their secondary, to a preseason injury. There's no real timetable on his return. This ball's nearly picked off by Eric Lee Jr., twisted around by the throw from Hansen.
Yeah, Eric Lee almost picked it off, but he didn't. And weird things have happened. Watch this. It ricochets off and almost to the Arkansas State player.
Opportunity knocks for Eric Lee Jr. with that Chris Jones injury we were mentioning. Plenty of cell phones lighting up the night in Lincoln. It's 3rd and 4. Hansen gets outside. Nice catch there, but dropped. Chris Murray did not complete the catch as Kalu forced it away. His 3rd year as a full-time starter. Been a corner all his football career here in Lincoln.
Now the crowd will really get into it. 4th down.
Going for it on 4th and 4. Hansen trying to draw Nebraska off. And there's a flag down for a procedure penalty to come. Conversation continues on the sideline.
Number 54. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Arkansas State's going to punt it now on 4th down. Turning the honors over to Cody Grace. DeMornay Pearsonell back deep for the Huskers.
Huskers have punt safe in, just in case it's a fake.
4th and 9 here. The boot on the way. And again, trapping it deep in the territory there. Jeremy Smith, the reserve corner. Mike Riley's squad gets the ball next.
All right.
BTN's late night show returns for another season with more fun, more hilarity, and more games with your favorite Big Ten student athletes and coaches. Sports Light with Mike Hall returns Wednesday night at 11 Eastern right here on BTN. Joe Beninati, Glenn Mason upstairs. Elise Menaker, our sideline reporter. Tanner Hill leading the Huskers back into the offensive set with Nebraska in control 34-26. Third all-time meeting between the Huskers and the Red Wolves of Arkansas State. Trey Bryant, the running back, behind Lee. Off the play action. Connecting with Hoppus. Breaking tackles. And then cartwheel down to the deck by B.J. Edmonds. Pickup of 13 for Tyler Hoppus. Coach Riley said, Glenn, that this guy has stepped up like a man.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a while for a guy to develop in a program, and all of a sudden it's like, where did this guy come from? Because he looks pretty good.
Transfer from Wayne State, a former defensive end. Bryant hesitates, waits for a hole to develop. He opens one up himself. Tripped up there by Blaze Taylor.
Big play by Blaze Taylor. If you think that's easy, tackling a back like this in the open field when he breaks a tackle, reverses field. Now watch this right here. Good job. Gave him one way to go outside, and he shot his arms through.
Coaches call Blaze Taylor their most competitive guy on the field. Lee to throw. Deep shot downfield. High in the air, deflected away from Stanley Morgan Jr. Edmonds was there, along with Nehemiah Wagner.
Okay, Joe, so in this series we've seen the running game, tailback. We saw the deep throw off the play action. The third element that he always talks about is the wide receiver carrying the ball, either on a reverse jet sweep. Let's see if they work that in here.
You're thinking maybe a little Tyjon Lindsey or J.D. Spielman before too long. Spielman's in the slot to the lower part of your screen. They bluff play action his way, but there's a flag down.
Ball start. Offense. Number 68. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Nick Gates. Yeah, he moved. Big left tackle. He came out of his stance. Can't move at all.
That was an awkward tumble there for David Neville, all 6'8" of him. Hailing from Brantford, Ontario. The first Husker signee from Canada since the late 90s. Neville, a redshirt senior. Nearing the midway mark of the third quarter. There's your fly sweep with DeMornay Pearsonell. And he cuts loose. DeMornay Pearsonell on the fast track. Maybe caught from behind, but he still gets the touchdown. Fans up out of their seats. The question is, did he stay in bounds?
Yeah, I'd say he stepped out of bounds. Left foot out of bounds. Only takes 1 foot.
DeMornay Pearsonell covering lots of ground. If it stands, it's good for 71 yards.
Yeah.
Ruling on the previous play, a touchdown is under further review.
Replay official Gary Bram will coordinate with Kurt Johnson, our referee, taking a look at that.
You see that big left foot?
Yeah, that's on the white.
It is not going to stand.
Nope.
No way. That's going to be confirmed. I told you that jet sweep was coming, no?
You sure did.
Sometimes you just get a feeling.
Fans getting a peek at it here inside of Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. DeMornay Pearsonell, they say he's so dynamic. He's sort of showing that explosiveness from back in 2015. Remember, he had some knee and foot injuries that curtailed his production.
He's laughing.
The officials taking their time, making sure they have the notations down on how much time should be put back on the clock, and where the ball should be spotted. That's a pretty good indicator that this is going to be overturned.
Yeah. Good blocking on the perimeter, and he breaks the tackle.
After he got away from Michael Johnson, it looked like he was on his way to greener pastures. He was 71 yards in all, but it's bound to come back.
He could have ran to Omaha. They wouldn't have. Nope. I think Omaha's that direction, isn't it?
About 50 miles. Head coach Blake Anderson, an interested bystander.
Therefore, it'll be Nebraska's ball, 3rd and 5. Game clock operator, please set the game clock to 8:39. 8:39.
So those points will come off the board for Nebraska as a result.
That guy there, Blake Anderson's a good football coach. And I said Arkansas State, they got a heck of a program going down there. Yeah. They won 5 conference championships in 6 years with 4 different coaches. What does that tell you?
Pretty darn good. Their last win over a Power 5 conference foe, however, 2008 against Texas A&M. Lee to throw on 3rd and short. Connecting with J.D. Spielman. That will move the chains for the Huskers. Leading by 8, nearing the midway mark of the 3rd quarter.
You know, you look at J.D. Spielman, the word that comes to mind when you watch the guy play, it's smooth, effortless.
Spielman, who brought a kickoff return back 99 yards in the opening half, the first kickoff return for a touchdown for Nebraska since 2013. Lee sends Lindsey in short motion. Gives to Trey Bryant. Sidestepping Caleb Bonner. Beautiful moves. There's a flag coming in as Kyle Wilson is everywhere on the field from his linebacker spot for the Red Wolves.
During the run, holding, offense, number 8. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, 1st down.
They flag Stanley Morgan Jr. and they get him for this hold.
Yeah, it's an all-day block out there. And you get your hands outside and got to keep your hands inside the frame.
1st and 13 now for Lee and the Huskers nearing midfield. With Lindsey in motion, Lee to throw. Launching another deep ball. And it's drifting out of bounds. Not able to hook up with Stanley Morgan Jr. this time. Those two did connect on a 44-yard touchdown back in the opening quarter.
Yeah, when you throw the ball and it sails that far out of bounds, there's no chance. One of the things that the receiver has to do, you can't let the defender force you that wide to the sideline. There's no room to maneuver for the quarterback.
Nebraska, Glenn, 12-0 all-time against current members of the Sun Belt Conference, getting a good test from Arkansas State tonight on BTN. Draw for Bryant. Flag down. Bryant 2. In the arms of Justin Clifton.
Holding, offense, number 62. 10-yard penalty, line of scrimmage, 2nd down.
Glenn, in your coaching days, I'm sure the season openers, you always, as a coach, you were waiting for mistakes to be made in the first game of a season.
Yeah, let's just watch the center. Let's see what he did. Let's see how guilty he was right here. Yeah, see, I got my hands on him, and coaching that offensive line, I'd be saying, wait a minute. The guy falls down doesn't mean I'm holding him. What was you asking, Joe? I'm sorry.
Lots of mistakes early. You come to expect it from a coaching staff. Well read there by Trent Ellis Brewer, making the tackle as we go to Rick Pizzo for this studio update.
Joe, Purdue is going absolutely nowhere. Elijah Sindelar to Jackson Anthrop, second touchdown hookup of the day. Boilers up by 3 with 10 minutes to play.
Tangling with last year's Heisman Trophy winner Lamar Jackson. Purdue playing that game in Indianapolis. Great showing for the Boilermakers. Third down and 26 for Tanner Lee. On the crossing route, another heavy hit distributed. Clifton rattling Mikhail Wilbon.
Joe, back to your point, first game, in college football, there's no practice games, no exhibition games, and you worry about mistakes. You can't worry about the aggressive mistakes like holding that you saw right there. That's going to happen. It's the communication, it's the false starts, jumping off sides. Those are the things that drive you crazy.
Javon Rowland-Jones there introducing himself to Tanner Lee. Sack master for the Red Wolves. Lightborn into punt for Nebraska. Defensive coordinator Bob Diaco oversees the punters in the special teams unit.
Another penalty. Normally back there it's delay a game, but I don't know.
There's no foul in the play. The defense had 11 players on the field. No foul in the play.
There's Bob Diaco.
Yeah, right there in the middle. Yeah.
Overseeing the punting duties as well of Caleb Lightborn, who says he's more prepared mentally for this year than last year, Glenn, when he was taking over for the late Sam Foltz. The All-Big Ten punter died in an automobile accident in July 2016. This one takes a very nice roll down right at the 10-yard line by Markel Dismuke. Off to break we go. We'll get you back for the continuation of quarter number 3 right after these words. Stay connected with BTN across every platform. Get access to exclusive video content. Like, follow, share BTN. Glenn, it's been fun watching you and Elise take to social media throughout our time here together in Lincoln.
Yeah, she's shown me all kinds of new tricks. She's coaching me up big time.
Pleasure to welcome Elise Menaker to our BTN College Football Announce team. Wish her very well all season long. Arkansas State in the white with a ball. Warren Wand on the carry. Gifford and Barry in there among others. Aaron Williams to boot for the Huskers after the pickup of 5.
That's the way you're supposed to feel when you're a defensive back and you know it's a run.
Bob Diaco says the safeties are the quarterbacks of this defense. That's the premier position. Hello. Luke Gifford right in the face of Omar Bayless.
Well, if they stop Rod here, they got this play figured out now. They've run it all night. They said enough of that. You ain't blocked me. I'm going to go up there and make the play. Like it.
Third down and let's call it 4. Just over 4 to go in the third quarter. Red Wolves trailing by 8. Hansen sprints away and gets dropped by Dedrick Young. Size and speed combination, all sorts of smarts from his linebacking spot.
Well, it looks like that series, Cornhuskers caught on. Hey, let's be fair, though. One thing they talked about, Bob Diaco and Mike Bradley, it was impossible for them in practice, the scout team, to replicate Arkansas State's offense. So as the game goes on, they're getting more in tune.
4th and 9. Red Wolves will punt. Cody Grace doing the honors. Stanley Morgan Jr.'s back there. He has it at the 35, and he's angled out of bounds. So the Husker defense does the job. And our attention swings back to the Nebraska offense with Tanner Lee at the controls. Last time these two teams met, mid-September of 2012, Taylor Martinez and Kenny Bell hooked up for a couple of touchdowns. Amir Abdullah had a couple on the ground, ran for over 160 yards, Glenn. Taylor Martinez was very efficient, 13 of 14 through the air in that Husker win. Staying on the ground with Trey Bryant, who's had the lion's share of the carries from the I-back spot. Seems like he's won the job. A hotly contested off-season between himself, Mikhail Wilbon, Divino Zigbo, and the impressive freshman Jalen Bradley, who may emerge to be the most exciting and best of the bunch down the road. On 2nd and 5. Bryant again. Nearly into that second level where he was met by Michael Johnson. He's learning on the fly. Coming in as a junior college transfer.
You know, you see these plays where those offensive linemen pull out. What makes it tough on defense is when they pull, then you have to adjust your gaps because the gaps are changing. And if you fit inside when you have to be outside or vice versa, you got a problem.
You know, they held Trey Bryant out of some practices in camp. He was dealing with a tender knee. He's showing no signs of that tonight. Sticks his foot to the ground again, tries to work back against the green. Nothing there. Trey Bryant, a very productive evening on the ground.
Yeah, he's had a good night. These guys have worked hard and competed, and normally when that happens, you get a chance. Heck, they've been in camp for a month. It's time to play somebody else, and give me the ball. I'm going to show you what I can do with it.
Big day for Bryant continues, better than 160 yards on the ground tonight. Final 90 seconds of the third, Lee to throw. On the money for Morgan Jr. Stopped first by Justin Clifton and finished off by B.J. Edmonds.
Well, not only does the I-back have to carry the ball, he's got to pick up a blitz. Linebacker came through scot-free there. He picked him up, gave the quarterback time to throw the ball. Move the chains.
This is the tail end of a busy and very effective day, Glenn, for the Big Ten Conference. Performing admirably on a national slate all around the country. Lee out of the pistol for Bryant. Hog-tied by Wilson, and help comes from Michael Johnson to stop the eye back there. Penn State cruised to victory earlier today over Akron. Michigan State downing Bowling Green. Maryland going into Austin, putting more than half 100 on the board against the Longhorns.
How about that for DJ Durkin? What a great job. He's recruiting like lights out down there at Maryland and coaching them up.
After Tyrell Pigram was injured late in that game, we saw the future for the Terrapins. Kasim Hill at quarterback take over and perform admirably. That pass deflected away from Brian Reimers. Bringing up a 3rd and long now. And what's your call here for the Huskers, Glenn?
Well, 3rd and long. You know, I think I'd go back and see if I can find the guy that's got the hot hand, Tyler Hoppus, right now.
With Bryant on the sideline, 164 yards to his credit. He catches his breath. 3rd and a bunch, 3rd and 8 in the waning stages of the 3rd quarter. Lee to throw. Pressure on the edge from Blaze Taylor. That throw is hurried wide left of Stanley Morgan Jr. incomplete.
Yeah, when you don't have protection, you don't have time no matter what you call.
We've seen a lot of good football plays from Blaze Taylor tonight. He was putting all sorts of pressure on Tanner Lee. They call him the smartest player on the team. That's not just a figure of speech. With his impressive work in the classroom. Already a master's degree before the start of his 4th year. He drops back to return this punt. Hanging in the air. Well done. We've seen great special teams work. Kyron Williams was right there to take the punt from Lightbourne, who races right after his good buddy to congratulate him. Kicking game has been really good from a return standpoint and from punter placement standpoint.
Well, you know, the thing about it, a lot of people don't understand, you talk about field position is so important, so now the ball is going to be on the 4. If that guy doesn't do that, there's a good chance that ball hits the ground and goes to the end zone and comes out to the 20.
Justice Hansen has 26 points on the board for Arkansas State. They've won their last 15 games when they've scored 30 or more. Tail end of quarter 3. Hansen hearing it from the Husker fans. Sprints out. Throws on the run. Nice comeback route there for Chris Murray. The end of the third quarter. Ticking away as we get set for the final 15 minutes of regulation time. Nebraska in front behind some impressive work through the air and on the ground in Lincoln. Just about set to start the fourth quarter. BTN football presented by Taco Bell. Nebraska holding an 8-point advantage after 3 as we shape up this game summary for you, Glenn. Lots of yardage on the board and very good special teams work.
Yeah, you know, I said before, you know, there's not much defense out there, but there's a lot of offense. There's been some good plays in the special teams and some bad plays in the special team, depending on how you look at it.
Nebraska I-back Trey Bryant with a career high for yards and rush attempts tonight. Warren Wand on the ground, chased down from the blind side by Chris Weber. Used to back up Josh Banderas in these parts.
You know, the Cornhusker defense has done a really remarkable job, I think, defending the run. Arkansas State likes to establish the run, and everything else they had to deal with, they've been able to control that pretty well.
Hansen has time to set his feet over the middle. Intercepted by Joshua Kalu. Kalu led the Huskers in pass breakups a season ago. Kyron Williams led the team in pickpockets. This time it's Kalu with the intercept.
Yeah, that was a poor decision by Hansen there, because there's double coverage right there. Both guys, and he threw it right in there. One guy, unless they knocked each other off, was going to make the play. And I said it on the last series, it might be possibly that, you know, the Cornhusker defense is getting in the flow, catching on to what Arkansas State's doing, because the last 2 series by far is the best defense they played all night.
Sporting a nice do there. Joshua Kalu had an interception last year against Northwestern. The Wildcats were victorious today. Lee gives for Trey Bryant as Bryant gets trapped by Justin Clifton around the waist. Joshua Kalu tells everybody how he did it.
Yeah, if you're Mike Riley and that offensive staff, you'd like to grind it out here a little bit, not get too conservative, get a couple first downs, and then put a touchdown on the board.
Stanley Morgan to the top of the screen, better than 100 yards through the air for him tonight. Lee on 2nd and 5. Pressure coming from the edge, and Roland Jones. Ooh, this one is nearly picked. B.J. Edmonds was in the vicinity.
Yeah, that was a misfire. Now, you mentioned it, that Roland Jones was coming. He didn't get there, but that doesn't mean the quarterback didn't feel it.
Protection's been good for that guy, for Tanner Lee. Nebraska allowed the fewest sacks of any team in the Big Ten last year. Able to keep Lee clean for the most part tonight. Here comes the blitz. It's picked up well. Lee fires downfield. Gets it to J.D. Spielman. His second big chunk play of the night.
protection, but once again, here comes Arkansas State with the blitz. The I-back steps up, picks the linebacker up, stops him in his track. Tanner Lee puts the ball right on the money, and I've got a feeling that we're going to hear a lot about J.D. Spielman, only a redshirt freshman, Eden Prairie High School over in Minnesota.
35 yards on that grab. Lee under center. Play action. Lee attacked there. Dropped by Christian Howard from the defensive line. Arkansas State expected to rotate in as many as 11 big guys up front. Huskers driving against Blake Anderson's boys, looking to improve their 8-point advantage. 2 minutes or thereabouts into quarter number 4. Bryant puts his nose down, drives into the middle of that Red Wolf defense. Gets 5 on the carry.
Well, Arkansas got into what we call a bunch set. They had 3 guys right over there, tight end, 2 wide receivers, tight splits. You know, it's almost like an unbalanced line, and it's definitely a run formation. You can throw out of it, but it'll be a short pass. I think that's their answer to going to just too tight all the time.
Leads to a 3rd and 5, and Arkansas State was pretty late to sub in there. Lee out of the gun. Tanner Lee fires underneath, wide open. Touchdown, Huskers. DeMornay Pearsonell off of the Kalu INT. The senior Pearsonell is on the board. Drew Brown on for the extra point, right down the middle. Brown, who has said in the past he takes the same approach to the extra point as he might a 50-yard field goal attempt. Kalu, great effort on the intercept, and then the offense goes to work. Lee to Pearsonell to Pater.
You want to see why that play was so wide open? Count them up. Man, you only got 10 guys. You need 11 out there.
We had mentioned right before they snapped the ball, Glenn, that Arkansas State was very late in getting some substitutions on. They didn't get enough people on, and Tanner Lee made them pay. Back underway. We continue in the 4th. Mason from the goal line. Stumbling ahead. Brought down to the 25. That's where the Red Wolves will take over. Plenty to cheer about in this game if you like offense. 41-26 for Nebraska. Season number 7 for the Huskers in the Big Ten Conference. They haven't won a conference title in Lincoln since 1999. Longest stretch without a title for the Huskers since the 1941 through 1962 drought.
Before Bob Devaney came into town.
Booker in motion. Hansen flings it out to Christian Booker. A little wall of blockers, not enough to prevent Lamar Jackson from making the stop. Jackson says there's no more finessing for him this season. Wiser and more humble this year, number 21 in the red. Hansen teaming up with Booker, wrapped up immediately by Joshua Kalu, who's made more and more of an impact on this game as we've progressed.
Yeah, I've been beat this point to death, but those are the same plays that early were wide open. There was space before the defense got there. Now the Cornhusker defense is in tune. They see what's happening. They're breaking on the ball. Not much green grass.
63rd play on offense for Arkansas State right here. operating quickly, efficiently, as Kalu tried to rip the ball out there. Completion for Christian Booker, the senior from South Carolina. Had a 6-catch game last year against Auburn. First and 10 now for the Red Wolves, nearing midfield. There was movement on the line.
Full start. Offense. Number 70. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Glenn, the coaches think Leonard Bonner has the biggest upside potential of anyone on that offensive line for Arkansas State.
Yeah, he's a redshirt junior out of Highland Community College, and fatigue starts taking a play there. When you get tired, you can't concentrate. When you can't concentrate, you move a little early.
Already in the mid-60s in the play count offensively are the Red Wolves. That'll promote wear and tear. Hansen for Kendrick Edwards, who makes a man miss. Jogged out of bounds there by Luke Gifford. Kendrick Edwards, who sat out all of last year after transferring from SEC Arkansas.
Well, tackling's so important. And, when you're playing a soft corner and you give that guy the throw, you just got to make the tackle for the 5-yard gain.
It turned out to be 38 yards after the Lee miss. Jamal Jones is back in the game. Only played in a couple games last year. Guys, I've been looking for Johnston White, the man they nicknamed Silky in the Arkansas State backfield. I haven't called his name tonight. It's been Wand or Jones. As Hansen checks to the sideline. That's where the teams offensively and defensively play a little game of cat and mouse, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things, Diaco's defense, they just want to sit there, give that same look every time.
They want to force Hansen into a post-snap decision. There he connects with Booker, who's throttled pretty good by Marcus Newby, redshirt senior from North Potomac, Maryland. Arkansas State player remains down on the turf. It's the big fella Dalton Ford, the left guard. Coach Riley's Huskers holding the advantage of 41-26 here on home turf. Next game for them at Oregon. First time in Oregon since 1952. You can see it on Fox. And Glenn, it's the first time since 76. Nebraska's going to wear the red jerseys on the road. Here's the injury to Dalton Ford, 75 white. They tend to the right side, the shoulder area, it appears, on Dalton Ford. Oregon will be wearing the all-white ensemble at home next week against the Huskers, part of its Stomp Out Cancer movement. A uniform designed by pediatric cancer survivors, so the Huskers will wear their red in Oregon as Ford gets back to his feet.
Yeah, you can tell the way he's holding his arm. It's arm, shoulder.
Coach Anderson exhorting his troops. First and 10 now for the Red Wolves, deep in Nebraska territory with just a shade less than 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Hansen operates out of the gun. Looks over the middle, goes through his progressions, wide open. It was caught for a moment by Murray. It's ruled a touchdown as it was deflected out of his hands. Did he complete the catch? If it stands, it's a 14-yard TD grab. Got in there to interrupt. Have another look. appeared to be bobbling that, Glenn, as he was trying to tuck it away, and then Williams punched it out.
Ruling on the field of a completed pass for a touchdown is under further review.
I was going to count up the Nebraska defenders, see if they only had 10, because that was about as wide open as the other one. Arkansas only had 10, but they had 11 out there.
All MAC officiating crew led by referee Kurt Johnson, the man in the white hat. He's going to be chatting with our replay official here in Lincoln tonight, Gary Bram. Mike Riley wondering if those points will remain on the board against his squad. Our rules analyst in Chicago is Dick Honig. Dick, from your perspective, what'd you see there?
Well, he possesses the ball in the end zone, takes a good step and a half before the ball is subsequently knocked out of his hands. I believe this is a touchdown based on the fact that it is in the end zone. As soon as he takes that step and a half, he's dead.
Great to have Dick Honig with us again this year.
And the important thing is, like Dick said, it was ruled on the field a touchdown.
Is he juggling the ball here on the transfer to lock it away? Aaron Williams put the hand in there for the Nebraska secondary as we share multiple looks with you. The discussion is still going on between referee Johnson and replay official Graham. Here it is, full speed, regular speed.
He definitely, Dick Honig said he took a step and a half. He definitely took a full step.
After further review, the receiver did not maintain complete control of football throughout the entire process of the catch. Therefore, it is an incomplete pass. It will be 2nd and 10 at the 14-yard line.
Dick Honig, again, our rules analyst in Chicago. And Dick, I guess my point was it looked like to me on that end zone look, especially, he was transferring the ball to try and secure it when Williams punched it out.
And I think that's what they saw, and that's how they ruled that play. And I can't disagree with them.
Moving it from hand to hand, trying to tuck it down, and then alertly, it was Aaron Williams jarring the ball free. Those points come off the board. It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Red Wolves. Still tons of time in the 4th quarter here in Lincoln. Justice Hansen, number 15 in the white. See the red zone efficiency so far. Hansen on a sprint out, throws back against the green, and it'll fall incomplete. Trying to sneak Warren Wand out of the backfield.
You're exactly right. They're trying to just hide him and wheel him out the back. Watch it right there. He fakes the block, and then you're going to try to throw back, but he was well covered.
Right into the teeth of Husker Nation. On 3rd and 10. Hansen to throw. A low ball there. It's incomplete. Trying to find Chris Murray. And the Red Wolves will send their field goal unit on.
Yeah, the Cornhuskers he's not being protected as well as he was earlier in that game. He's feeling that pressure, and that pressure's coming like that. It's hard for the quarterback to consistently keep your eyes downfield and get set to throw the ball and run it.
Just one field goal for Sawyer Williams last year. It came in the bowl game. He knocks this one through. Sawyer Williams putting 3 on the board for Arkansas State. Nebraska has the advantage on home turf. The Red Wolves trimming that margin on BTN.
9 cents.
Those ladies have been cheering their way through a combined 70 points tonight. Nebraska in front 41-29. And Glenn, a whole bunch of yardage on the stat sheet. Both teams better than 400.
You know, I'm not really a big possession at time guy, but you look at that difference right there, and when you're playing a team like Arkansas State, the more you can keep the ball away from that, the better off you are. And as the game went on, Nebraska did a better job of that.
Time for the Red Wolves to kick off. Doing the honors there. Onside squib kick. With a heavy-duty collision, they fight for it on the field. Nebraska comes up with the football. Luke McNitt does a little bit of everything for this team. Their starting fullback.
Well-executed play. They had a chance. I think Nebraska was prepared, but still a little element of surprise there with 9:26 to go in the game when you got a quick score offense like that. I like the gamble by Arkansas State doing it.
Luke McNitt, the former walk-on, now captain, prototype lead blocker, fullback for the Huskers, showing off his good hands there, giving Nebraska the football. 1st and 10 from the Husker 40. The give is to Trey Bryant. Slips out of a tackle and taken down by Justin Clifton, who's been very busy in the secondary. Folks, tomorrow, star quarterback Josh Rosen leads UCLA into action. They kick off the season against Texas A&M on Fox. Then on Friday, don't miss the Boilermakers home opener against Ohio. All coming up on Fox and FS1. Trey Bryant getting his shoes laced up. That prompts Mikhail Wilbon in. Here's the reverse to Stanley Morgan Jr. And staying home there, making the tackle defensively. Red Wolves with Trent Ellis Brewer making the stop, and then the linebacker immediately ejecting himself from the game. He's hurt.
Well, Mike Riley's a man of his word. He says we're going to see the eye back. We're going to see balls thrown deep. We're going to see jet sweeps. We're going to see reverses. Seen it all.
And he was saying they're not totally rebooting the offense. They put a 2-year foundation in, going more towards a prototype drop back passer than a dual threat like Tommy Armstrong was. Out of the gun. Dump it off to Mikhail Wilbon. Wilbon out of bounds when he lost control of that football.
Yeah, the big difference he said that everybody would see, which would be anticipated, not a dual threat quarterback like Tommy Armstrong, so don't expect as many quarterback runs. But he also said, we've got the capability of running the quarterback if we have to in certain situations.
Tanner Lee, a solid showing in his Husker starting debut.
John, I'd have to ask you, all the speculation and hype and all that stuff we talked about as this sea of red leaves tonight, what do you think their feeling is about Tanner Lee?
I think they have to like that they're in good hands.
Yeah, I agree.
He seems to be making decisions quickly. Aside from a couple of dangerous throws back across the grain, I like the way he's distributed the ball. He's been able to find a number of different targets. David Neville was the man who was nicked the starting right tackle up front. Veteran line for the Huskers now. Gates, Foster, Conrad, Farmer, and Neville. A 1st and 10, nearing the midway mark of the 4th. Nebraska on top by 12. Steady diet of Trey Bryant. Angling back, he hits the hole, he looks to swing back against the grain. A career best night for Trey Bryant on the ground. Nebraska under Coach Riley, Glenn, is 11-0 when they outrushed the opponent.
Well, you look at the difference in rushing tonight, 214 for Nebraska, 67 for Arkansas State.
Win the rushing battle, win the game. Lee snaps this one. Morgan Jr. was erased by Blake Blaze Taylor. Ball's down. They're going to rule this incomplete. Blaze Taylor beating his chest. Ultra competitive cornerback for these Red Wolves. His dad, Trooper, coaches the cornerbacks in Jonesboro, Arkansas for the Red Wolves. Third down, let's say 5 for the Huskers and Tanner Lee. With pressure coming on the blitz from Wilson, that pass is low, intended for J.D. Spielman. I like what I've seen from 15 in the white all night long, Glenn.
Very, very active. Made some plays, and you know, some guys are effective blitzing and some guys aren't. It seems like when they call his number and he shoots the gap, he makes something happen.
Nebraska electing to punt here on 4th and 5 from the Arkansas State 40. Taylor goes back deep. Lightborn to hit it. Nose of the football down. Hanging punt. Huskers have it surrounded as it squibs inside the 5. Picked up by Markel Dismuke. Lightborn's touch has been wonderful tonight. Nebraska in the lead. Down the stretch we go on BTN. Football on BTN is brought to you in part by State Farm. Here to help life go right. We see a recognition of the Sam Foltz Memorial here in Lincoln, Nebraska. At this time last year, Husker Nation was still coming to grips with the tragic death of punter Sam Foltz in an automobile accident. Sam's parents, Gerald and Jill, are in attendance tonight. Justice Hansen throwing from out of the end zone. The deep ball off the hands of his intended target, Dijon Pascal. Pascal, who earned his degree back in May, subbing out now with 6.5 to go in the 4th quarter. Justice Hansen put that one where it had to be. DiCaprio Boodle was there stride for stride with Pascal. Red Wolves started 0-4 last year. Turned it up to win 8 of their last 9. Including a bowl victory for Central Florida. Warren Wan's not going anywhere as the Husker defense tightens up. More and more as the game has gone on, Joshua Kalu has made himself a factor. 3rd down and long. Kalu asking for a little help from 90,000 strong. Flashing the bones. From his own end zone with time into traffic, incomplete. Looking for Christian Booker. And the punting unit thought about coming off the sideline, but there is a flag down.
I tell you, Carlos Davis coming from that right end spot put a lot of pressure on him.
Holding. Offense. Number 55. The penalty occurred in the end zone by rule safety.
The second safety of the night. After the holding penalty assessed to J.P. Filbert. Came in from Iowa State.
Well, I told you that Carlos Davis was coming hard, and that's who he was rushing on. Here you go right there, right at the top of the screen right there. Watch him. He can't handle him. So he's going to try to hold him. No, he's going to tackle him. You can't do that in the end zone. What a great effort by Carlos Davis. You got to remember, he's been rushing all night long. Down after down after down, not getting there. And finally gets points on the board for the Cornhuskers.
And the lead grows to 14 as a result. Arkansas State put up a safety in the Second quarter this evening when Kyle Wilson tackled Trey Bryant in the end zone. And now after that holding penalty is assessed, Nebraska gets those two back, and it's a free kick turn for the Red Wolves.
Well, when Arkansas State got the safety and got the ball back, they scored again. Let's see if Nebraska can do the same thing. And Joe, we've seen about everything tonight.
Sure have. It has been an entertaining and lengthy affair. This, the 20th anniversary from the last national championship team for the Huskers back in 1997, the last of their 5 NCAA titles. Both of these squads lifting the lid on a new year.
It's getting late at night, and these Cornhusker fans are going nowhere. They love watching the team.
Put it back into play. Stanley Morgan Jr. from about his 8. Number 8. Wrapped up and then knocked down in one fell swoop. Brandon Williams is the first man there. The Red Wolves are saying that ball's loose. No signal yet from the officials, though. And theirs is the opinion that matters. It'll be Nebraska ball.
Ruling on the field. Ruling on the field that the forward progress was stopped. First down, Nebraska.
Yeah, the ball was out, but forward progress stopped the play.
Darion Jackson, after that initial hit came from Brandon Williams. Darion Jackson right here, wow, with a crunching blow, knocking the ball loose. The officials, however, giving the ball to the Huskers, but Coach Blake Anderson would like them to rethink things for a moment. Referee tonight, Kurt Johnson, has been center screen quite often in this game. While Coach Anderson chats with the guys in the zebra stripes, we welcome in our rules analyst in Chicago, Dick Honig.
Well, what I don't know, Joe, is that what they actually called on the field, because I could not hear the referee's announcement. If they called forward progress, then the play is dead and not reviewable.
That's exactly what they did.
The ball, they called him down, then the ball potentially could be loose and replay would be allowable.
Dick, thank you very much. The words forward progress were used, and as a result, Nebraska takes the football. Not a challengeable, reviewable play. 5.5 to go and time ticking as we watch Nebraska work some game clock management towards the tail end of the fourth. Nebraska has won 30 of its last 31 season openers. The only exception back in 2015, they fell to BYU on a last-second Hail Mary play. Tanner Lee gives to Trey Bryant as Bryant is lassoed by Trent Ellis Brewer, who's back after leaving injured the last series.
Now, Joe, don't be surprised if Nebraska doesn't break a long run. I say that because Arkansas State's anticipating they're going to run. They're throwing the kitchen sink up there, everybody to stop the run. That means you lose your depth in your defense. So if one of those backs can break the first line of defense, they are gone.
Senior cornerback Nehemiah Wagner stays down on the turf here in Lincoln. Player who has matured a lot, runs well. Mike Riley's Huskers in control by 2 scores. As Wagner makes his wobbly way to the sideline under his own power. The Huskers had a 17-14 lead after 1 quarter, 27-26 at the halftime break. They blanked the Red Wolves, no scoring for Arkansas State in the third. It's 43-29 now. And Tanner Lee ready to ignite the Husker offense. He was named the starter 6 days after the spring game. Loops this one over the head of J.D. Spielman. It's going to bring up a 4th and 4. And punting duties for Nebraska. You've got Blaze Taylor back deep. You know he can return the punt for a score, but you think pressure's going to come.
I would think they'd go after full force. They got to make something happen and make it quick.
10 guys on the line of scrimmage. Lightborn gets it out of there as Blaze Taylor waves fair catch and takes a knee just shy of the 40. Back to Lincoln for this one's conclusion with 4:18 to go. Nebraska Cornhuskers a season ago, plus 70 in the 4th quarter. They are outdistancing the Red Wolves by 14 tonight. Home of the 5-time national champion Huskers. 46 times a conference champion. Season number 7 in the Big Ten unfolds for them. They entertain the Arkansas State Red Wolves, the champions of the Sun Belt Conference. Appalachian State and Troy expected to give Arkansas State a run for its money in that bracket this year. Hansen on the completion to Omar Bayless. Lamar Jackson right there to upset him. Brings up a 2nd and 6. Under 4 minutes to play in this one. Banner day, banner weekend for the Big Ten. Hansen into traffic, out of the hands of Bayless.
They haven't had many drops today.
Justice Hansen, as Coach Anderson will tell us, by nature, calm and composed, but don't let it fool you. He's competitive. On 3rd and 6, he'll check the sideline. They split the tight end Blake Mack away from the formation. Get him out there in a 4-receiver look. Jones in motion. Hansen, Gifford off the edge, flushing him out. And Justice Hansen knocked down by Carlos Davis near midfield.
One of the problems with only rushing 3 guys, inevitably the nose tackle is going to get double teamed, sometimes triple teamed, so there's no contain up the middle of the field if the ends go too deep.
The scramble for Hansen there, good enough to get the first down, keep the drive going. Hansen, with his protection breaking down, floats one. That's caught by Chris Murray. Last year, Glenn, when they were 0-4, it was a 4th and 16 scramble conversion by Justice Hansen that really turned their season around against Georgia Southern. There's no quit in this game. Less than 3 minutes to go. Jamal Jones goes hat-to-hat. A rattling hit from Mo Barry. They view this guy as a starter, Mohamed Barry, lowering the helmet and shoulder there to deliver the blow on the ball carrier after the pickup of 4. Gifford finished him off. 1st and 10 for the Red Wolves. Hansen sitting in the pocket, now sprints out. Throws this one wide on the sideline. It's incomplete. Diving effort from Justin McGinnis. Big target, Glenn, at 6'6". Blake Anderson looking on from his sideline with 2:21 to go. On a 2nd and 10 and 5 receivers in the pattern. Empty backfield. Huskers rush 3. Hansen checks down for Kendrick Edwards. Knocked out of bounds. Another first down pickup. 11 more yards on the counter for Justin Hansen. Justice led the Sun Belt Conference, 28 completions, better than 30 yards a season ago. This is another dump off. Gifford swallowing up Jamal Jones. Just a pickup of 2 this time. Time's wasted now in the 4th.
Yeah, time is such a factor benefiting Nebraska. They're going to play soft. They just don't want it thrown over their head.
That's Glenn Mason. I'm Joe Beninati. Elise Menekers, our sideline reporter. 3 cheers for all the men and women in our technical crew. Hansen to throw once more. Away from Khalil Davis. Connecting there with Justin McInnes. Dedrick Young makes the stop. The chains continue to move for the Red Wolves.
Yeah, he faked Joshua Kalua out there. He gave a head fake, and Kalua went outside. He went back inside.
For another 11 yards on 1st and 10. Hansen surveys. Put some heat on this one and a diving grab. The first down pickup recorded by Blake Mack, the tight end. 12 yards brings up 1st and goal from the Nebraska 3. Under a minute to play in regulation. Hansen threw it behind his target. Jackson was in coverage there with McInnes. Once we are complete, the final drive comes your way, presented by Auto Owners Insurance. Right after the game, Dave, Jerry, and Howard standing by. An action-packed, high-scoring contest in Lincoln coming to its conclusion. Arkansas State trying to put some more points on the board. 2nd and goal. Hansen, fade. There he is to the open man. It's Kendrick Edwards. Touchdown, Red Wolves. A 3-yard TD catch.
Well, this is to perfection. You cannot defend this when you're in bump and run, which they are, and you go with the back shoulder throw on timing. That defensive back has no chance. And he might have pushed off a little bit.
Gaining a little separation, Kendrick Edwards, who sat out last year after his transfer from Arkansas. These catches tonight, the first for him since 2014 in live game action. Justice Hansen has acquitted himself very well in these proceedings tonight. It's 43-35. J.P. Filbert making his slow way off the field. A couple of games started last year for Filbert at Iowa State. Then he was suspended for violating team rules. Came to join the group in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Extra point try now for the Red Wolves. Sawyer Williams out of the hold of Damon Funcham. He drills it through. And the Red Wolves are not done yet.
Here comes the onside kick,
which they tried one earlier tonight here in the 4th quarter unsuccessfully. 43-36 in a wild one at Memorial Stadium.
You know the old saying, Joe, she ain't over till it's over. Not over yet.
Mike Riley would like to hear the fat lady sing soon.
Wow.
Arkansas State getting its plan of attack set for what we anticipate will be an onside kick.
You know, Joe, as a coach, you always start thinking about the previous series that Nebraska had the football, you know, and they really didn't do much in that series, you know. So all of a sudden you think, man, if we'd have done anything, there would be no time on the clock. It'd be over and we'd be singing the alma mater and going to the locker room and going home and having a pizza, and now I'm dying. Onside kick.
Guys with the good hands coming on the field for Nebraska. The special teams coach for Arkansas State is Luke Pascal. Scott Booker presides over the special teams for Nebraska, but we know that Coach Riley sits in on all those special teams meetings. This in anticipation of the onside kick.
The formation that they have, Arkansas State, they're split out. You don't know if it's going to go to their left or to their right. Or right up the middle.
It's on the tee for Sawyer Williams. Nebraska wants to talk it over.
Which I think is a good timeout right there, because now they see definitively, at least they think, what Arkansas is going to do. So rather than go to the locker room with that timeout, you get them over there and say, okay, here's what they're doing. You got 4 guys over here, another 4 guys over here. You got 3 guys in the middle. They may kick right, they may kick left, so you're on top of your game. And don't forget, they may just dribble it right up the middle like they did last time.
Nebraska, Glenn, a trip to Oregon to face the Ducks a week from today. Then home tilts with Northern Illinois and Rutgers on the schedule. Thinking about other crossover games in the Big Ten for Nebraska. Both Nebraska and Iowa crossover against Big Ten East, Ohio State and Penn State this year. No easy assignment.
Well, you know, I guess this game against Arkansas State helps them prepare for what they may face against Oregon. And then we saw Rutgers the other day against Washington, and Rutgers a much improved football team.
Huskers beat the Ducks 35-32 here last year. Leading Arkansas State by 7. Onside kick. Bounding high in the air, it's still loose. And it's picked up on the run by Chris Murray. The Red Wolves are in business.
Recovered by number 14, Chris Murray.
Coach Riley shrugs the shoulders, hangs the head, and now it's up to his defense to secure the win.
All I can say is wow.
Murray taking it off the turf on the hop. Getting the high bounce is the key right there.
Yeah, you see Ryan Reimers, you got to go get that ball. He tried to wait for it to come to him, but
in the stands, sweating it out here in Lincoln. Arkansas State, out of the Sun Belt Conference, has given Nebraska of the Big Ten a whale of a football game tonight.
Now, moving on the field, an onside kick recovered by the kicking team is under further review.
I'm making this prediction right now. Assuming this stands, okay, assume it stands, and if Arkansas State scores, they're going to go for 2.
You think they would for the win on the road?
Yep.
Perfectly executed. Bounding down. Chris Murray appeared to have possession of the football before he was jarred out of bounds. Second time in this 4th quarter, the Red Wolves have used their special teams and onside kick practice. They're 1 for 2 until this review.
I bet Mark Rick and his Hurricanes are watching this game right now.
Miami comes to town for Arkansas State to Jonesboro. They'll be in the vault. Centennial Bank Stadium, around 31,000 there. .43-36, the play under review. As we hear now from referee Kurt Johnson.
After further review, all the blocks were legal, and the ruling of an onside kick recovered by kicking team is confirmed. First down.
The Red Wolves have a chance. They've never beaten any of the current members in the Big Ten. 0-9 all time. They've trailed Nebraska from the outset. They haven't been able to squeak out in front at any point in time. .46 seconds to go on 1st and 10. Hansen out of the gun. Throws. That pass was low. Sliding there to make the grab. The sure-handed tight end, Blake Mack. A first down pickup. Advancing the ball to the Nebraska 32. A dazzling performance from Justice Hansen at the quarterback spot for Arkansas State. Sets his feet. Floats this one out of bounds over the head of Christian Booker. 21 seconds to play.
And that well defended. He knew what he could. Only thing he could do is throw it out of bounds.
Arkansas State still by our count with 2 timeouts in its pocket. 2nd and 10 here. Nebraska faithful, full throw. Hansen fidgets away from pressure. This is incomplete. He tried to dump that off to Warren Wand. Freedemac and Moladoon was in the vicinity to put the pressure on.
Can the Cornhusker defense rise to the occasion?
15 seconds to go. Defensive coordinator Bob Diaco there. Center screen. Behind the seams of the windows. Looking from on high. The defensive coordinator. Arkansas State. 50% on 3rd down conversions tonight.
They got those safeties, 2 high safeties, way back deep.
3rd and 10. Hansen with plenty of time. He finds his target. It's Kendrick Edwards, stepping wisely out of bounds. Stopping the clock with 9 to go. There is a flag down. Officials joining us tonight here in Lincoln from the MAC conference.
Personal foul. Hands to the face. Defense. Number 25. After this, it's the goal line. First down.
Agonizing finish to this game for Coach Mike Riley. Antonio Reed gets flagged. Arkansas State asking for time, and they get it. A thrilling conclusion to this football game. BTN football presented by Taco Bell. Joe Beninati, Glenn Mason, Elise Menaker with you tonight. Nebraska attempting to hang on and outlast the Red Wolves.
Yeah, I think it's number 22 coming right there on the pass rush. Hands to the face mask. That's what gets called on Alex Davis. And you know what's lost in that play, Joe? I mean, they got the penalty, but that was a big-time play and throw by Justin Hansen.
Justice Hansen. The throwing motion isn't as silky smooth as we've seen from others around the country, but it is very effective.
Well, I don't know about that, but I can tell you one thing. It gets there in a hurry, and it gets where it's supposed to get. Justice looks awful good to me.
Honorable mention, all Sun Belt Conference performer last year, 8-2 mark as a starter.
I'm going to tell you who's really nervous besides Coach Riley. You know, my old GA, Terry Mahadra, is the athletic director at Arkansas State. He was in before the game. He's done an unbelievable job down there.
Red Wolves battling back from what was a 41-26 deficit here in the fourth. 9 ticks remaining. 1st and 10. Huskers rush 4. Hansen gets away from the pressure. Throws to the end zone. Out of the hands, incomplete. Seconds left. The look was for McInnes, and he had it for a split second.
And it, it was well defended. There's a lot of red shirts around there, but watch it here. Voids the rush. Sidearms it. I'll tell you, Lamar Jackson almost picked that off.
True. And DeAndre Thomas was the man who almost made that sack, perceived by many to be one of the top prospects in all of Oklahoma. 97 in red. Justice Hansen knew he was that close to something special.
So now if you're Blake Anderson, you got him over here. You say, we got 2 seconds left. The ball's got to be thrown in the end zone. And, whatever you do, don't take a sack, You got to let her go. If you have to force it in there, go ahead and force it in there.
The Husker defense back on call. The black shirts. Defensive coordinator Bob Diaco said, you want to be a black shirt? That means you count on me. You hold yourself responsible. Be responsible, be accountable, defend the goals, hopes, and dreams of the team, the university, and the state. Right now, trying to keep the Red Wolves out of the end zone. Hansen on the final play of regulation. Keeps the play alive. Justice Hansen throws back of the end zone, off the hands, incomplete of Kendrick Edwards. And the Huskers hang on by their fingernails. Two good friends meet at midfield. Kendrick Edwards consoled here at Memorial Stadium. Nebraska hangs on for a 43-36 decision. And Edwards was tiptoeing on the back of that end zone. Looked like he was out of it for a while, too.
Yeah, that's great defensive technique by Aaron Williams. You saw that if the ball was going to be thrown to his guy, it's going to be thrown over him. He knew the end zone was behind him. Really well played there.
And the celebration begins at long last. Elise Menaker standing by with the victorious head coach, Mike Riley.
Hi, Coach Riley. You said that you're actually glad that I'm back after the way this finished because you're the winning team in this one. What about the emotions at the end of this game and closing it out?
Isn't that crazy? I guess we will look at it tomorrow and we'll say this was good for us to be challenged like this. But, man, we never like it quite like that. But I appreciated Arkansas State. Had they played like crazy, did a great job. And I'm glad we won the game. I mean, we just made some plays to win, and it was very, very difficult to win.
You needed every point you had in this game. A career night from Trey Bryant. How impactful was he?
Well, I like some of the stuff. We'll like some of it that came out of this. We wanted to be a balanced football team, and we showed at times tonight that we can be that kind of team, that we can run the ball effectively, and we'll throw it effectively, too. So, I think that there's some good signs for that. And, like I said, we played a team that we knew was going to challenge us offensively. They just do such a nice job with it, and we were right.
Coach, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Joe, we'll toss it back up to you.
Elise, we appreciate it. High drama in Lincoln tonight as the Huskers hang on for the victory. Jubilation on the field and in the press box for sure. Plenty of happy Huskers there as Nebraska wins this one by the final count of 43-36. That's going to do it for us from Lincoln, for Glenn Mason, for Elise Menaker, for all the men and women in our crew. Joe Bonanati, thank you very much for your time. We're going to send you now to Dave, Jerry, Howard, and Stanley in our Chicago studio. It's time for the final drive. We say good night from Nebraska.